Chapter 41:27. Yang Yuqin nodded. Don't worry. He sees me as a thorn in his side, but he won't make things difficult for you in this matter, unless he wants to be unlucky. Moreover, after that old fellow made you a promise last time, he looked for him and the other vice palace master of the lineage of legacy to warn them. Now, I'm sure they've already warned the other people in the lineage of legacy who have the strength to kill you not to act rashly. Perhaps, in the Myriad Law Academy, even if they know someone wants to kill you, they'll still protect you. Yang Yuqin laughed at the end of his sentence. The lineage of legacy had tried to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he also laughed. Of course, although he was laughing, he knew in his heart that it was not that he did not pay a price. At the very least, it was with his permission that the palace master of the Myriad Law Academy stood up for him. This favor could be considered as owed. Soon, Duan Lingtian followed Yang Yuqin to a reception hall in the Myriad Law Academy. There were already people in the hall. On both sides of the hall stood a person, both of whom were old men. Behind the two old men stood a beautiful woman and a middle-aged man. When Duan Lingtian followed Yang Yuqin in, the four people's gazes all turned toward him. Little junior brother, this is Vice Palace, Master Yu of the Myriad Law Academy. After Yang Yuqin brought Duan Lingtian in, he introduced one of the old men with a medium build and a thin face. Although the old man looked ordinary, his eyes were particularly bright. He was the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Law Academy, Yu Ying. Vice Palace Master Yu. Duan Lingtian greeted the old man in a timely manner. The old man's originally cold face revealed a smile that was uglier than crying. Duan Lingtian, I've heard a lot about you. Vice Palace Master Yang, this is the first time you've accepted a disciple on behalf of your master. The facts show that you're indeed very outstanding. He has a good eye. As soon as Yu Ying opened his mouth, he praised Duan Lingtian. He did not seem to have any conflicts with Yang Yuqin at all, causing Duan Lingtian to sigh inwardly at how well Yu Ying did. Vice Palace Master Yu, you flatter me. Duan Lingtian smiled modestly. At the same time, the middle-aged man behind Yu Ying greeted Yang Yuqin, and Yang Yuqin introduced him to Duan Lingtian. He was the disciple of the Vice Palace Master, Yu Ying. As for Duan Lingtian, he also greeted the other party. The other party also warmly greeted him, Junior Brother Duan. In fact, that man was even older than Yang Yuqin. However, because Yang Yuqin was of the same generation as the other party's master, and Yang Yuqin's strength and status were extraordinary, the other party addressed Yang Yuqin as Martial Uncle. All right, we've greeted our own people, and we've been left out. At this moment, Yu Ying smiled and looked at the two people standing opposite him. Vice Sect Leader Liu and his disciple are still waiting to get down to business. There's no hurry. The old man who was dressed in a gray robe said with a fake smile, we've waited for so long just now, so there's no hurry. When he reached the end of his sentence, his gaze fell on Yang Yuqin. Vice Palace Master Yang, when we last met, you weren't the Vice Palace Master of Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. I really didn't expect you to enter the Intermediate Divine Emperor stage and become the Vice Palace Master of Myriad Jurisprudence Palace in just a few thousand years. As the Vice Sect Leader of Monorigin Spirit Sect, Lu Tianfeng had met Yang Yuqin once in the past. However, at that time, Yang Yuqin was just an ordinary teacher in Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. In front of Lu Tianfeng, Yang Yuqin was only a junior. A few thousand years had passed, and the junior from back then had become someone who was on equal footing with him. He even felt fear from the bottom of his heart. Within the Myriad Law Palace, Yang Yuqin was absolutely considered a rare, monstrous talent. I was just lucky. Yang Yuqin looked at Lu Tianfeng and smiled. Vice Sect Leader Lu, we haven't met for many years, but you're still as graceful as ever. I've gotten old. Lu Tianfeng sighed. In the future, the world will belong to you young people. Then, he looked at Duan Lingtian, who was standing next to Yang Yuqin, and smiled. This must be the little junior brother that Vice Palace Master Yang accepted on behalf of his master, right? I've heard of Duan Lingtian in the past. He's the #1 genius of the younger generation in the 7 prefectures. He's not even 1,000 years old, but he's already an intermediate divine emperor. His potential is extraordinary. As soon as Lu Tianfeng opened his mouth, he revealed that Duan Lingtian was not even 1,000 years old. As he spoke, Duan Lingtian and Yang Yuqin's expressions were still calm. However, the expressions of the woman behind him, the vice palace master of Myriad Jurisprudence Palace, Yu Ying, and the middle-aged man behind Yu Ying changed. Not even 1,000 years old? Not even 3,000 years old? In an instant, the three of them looked at Duan Lingtian at the same time. Yang Yuqin looked deeply at Lu Tianfeng and smiled faintly. It seems that Vice Sect Master Lu has spent a lot of effort on my junior brother. You even know about this. You found out about it in the lower dimensions? When Yang Yuqin spoke, cold murderous intent flashed in the depths of Duan Lingtian's eyes. Was this deputy hierarch of the Monorigin divine cult confessing that he was the one who had sent the assassins who attacked the families and sects of the people around him in the lower levels? Haha, Lu Tianfeng laughed. That day, the Monorigin spirit sect elder who went to Chunyang school to invite your junior brother was sent by me. While he was on his way, I also sent someone to the lower dimensions to see what kind of genius your junior brother is. It would have been better if I didn't investigate, but when I did, even I was shocked. If it weren't for the fact that the person I sent was reliable, I really couldn't imagine that someone from the mundane dimensions could have such achievements at such a young age. I'm afraid he's no longer in the category of genius. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him a monster or a son of Providence. Lu Tianfeng sighed when he reached the end of his sentence. After he finished speaking, he looked at Yu Ying, the Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Arts Academy. Vice Palace Master Yu, judging from your expression earlier, don't tell me you don't know that Duan Lingtian is not even 1,000 years old? Upon hearing this, Yu Ying looked at Lu Tianfeng with a complicated expression. I don't know. Lu Tianfeng smiled. If that's the case, then I can understand your current feelings, Vice Palace Master Yu. When I first learned about this, I was also very surprised. Unfortunately, by the time I confirmed this matter, Vice Palace Master Yang had already taken this monster as a disciple on behalf of his master. Lu Tianfeng sighed and looked at Yang Yuqin. Otherwise, I would have asked the Monorigin Spirit Sect's elder to promise a higher price to let this monster join our sect. What a pity. I'm afraid that this matter will be one of the greatest regrets in my life. In fact, I might even have a heart demon in the next heavenly tribulation because of this matter. Lu Tianfeng looked at Yang Yuqin and suddenly narrowed his eyes. Vice Palace Master Yang, I wonder, are you willing to part with your treasure? Yang Yuqin was stunned when he heard this. Vice Sect Master Lu, what do you mean? Lu Tianfeng looked at Duan Lingtian and said solemnly, I'd like to ask Vice Palace Master Yang to part with your junior brother and let him join our Monorigin Spirit Sect. I won't let him suffer a loss. I'm willing to accept him as my junior brother on behalf of my master. In the future, his treatment in the Monorigin Spirit Sect will be better than the holy sons of our Monorigin Spirit Sect. As soon as Lu Tianfeng said this, not only did Yang Yuqin's expression change, but even Yu Ying and his master's expressions changed. They were not stupid people. Naturally, they knew Lu Tianfeng's so-called parting with his treasure was not as simple as letting Duan Lingtian join his sect. Perhaps he would kill Duan Lingtian as soon as he brought him out of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. At this time, Lu Tianfeng continued to say, I can also pay a price for Vice Palace Master Yang. I guarantee you'll be satisfied. Obviously, he wanted to lure Yang Yuqin to buy Duan Lingtian's life. Of course, he made it sound dignified on the surface. Vice Sect Master Lu. At this time, Yang Yuqin spoke. His face was no longer polite, and his eyes turned cold. In the future, don't make such jokes. Otherwise, I'll take it seriously. When his voice fell, a fierce look flashed in the depths of Yang Yuqin's eyes. Lu Tianfeng laughed when he heard this. Haha, I didn't expect Vice Palace Master Yang to see through my joke. Duan Lingtian, you're not scared, right? Lu Tianfeng looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a smile. When Duan Lingtian heard this, his expression remained calm as he said indifferently, Vice Sect Leader Lu, do you think I'm scared? It's just a joke. Who would take it seriously? Of course, Duan Lingtian only said that on the surface. In his heart, he had already sentenced Lu Tianfeng to death. A medium ultimate god? He could not kill him now, but it did not mean he could not kill him in the future. If he could not even kill a medium ultimate god, how could he go to the world of divine remains and take his wife Kerr away under the noses of the two ultimate god clans? Let's get down to business. At this time, Yang Yuqin spoke impatiently. Okay. Lu Tianfeng heard this, and the smile on his face gradually disappeared. He then called out to the woman behind him. The woman was also Lu Tianfeng's disciple. She was a lower ultimate god with an ordinary appearance and a rough temperament. She gave off the impression of a man rather than a woman. As soon as she stepped forward, a crystal-clear bead appeared in front of her. The bead was the size of a baseball and emitted a beautiful light. A moment later, a soul aura escaped from the bead and a beautiful figure rose from it. An old woman in a light green robe appeared. This is Lu Tianfeng's disciple. I heard that she didn't want her artifact soul to be prettier than herself. Therefore, when the artifact soul was just born, it transformed into this appearance. Duan Lingtian heard Yang Yuqin's words in a timely manner. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard this. Could this be? Someone was worried that their artifact soul would be prettier than themselves? At her level of cultivation, she can transform into any appearance she likes, right? Duan Lingtian asked Yang Yuqin through voice transmission. Chapter 41:28. It's easy to change one's appearance, but it's difficult to change one's bearing. Yang Yuqin transmitted his voice to Duan Lingtian. Can you imagine what she would look like if she was given a beautiful face? Upon hearing Yang Yuqin's words, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel chills running up his spine. Moreover, Yang Yuqin continued, when one reaches our level of cultivation, it's very easy to see through the disguise. It's also because of this that at our level of cultivation, very few people deliberately change their appearance because it's completely superfluous. Who wouldn't be able to see through disguises? Only the true appearance that you were born with is completely natural. Naturally, Duan Lingtian was aware of Yang Yuqin's words. After becoming a godly king, one would have to face a heavenly tribulation every 1,000 years. At the same time, one would become more sensitive to many things. One of them was the appearance of a person. No matter how cunning a person was, even if it was a disguise he had learned in the mundane realms and Devata realms that could change one's facial structure, as long as it was a disguise, even if one could not see through it, one's appearance would not be natural. One might be able to deceive others and even oneself, but one would not be able to deceive the heavens above one's head. After becoming a godly king, it was equivalent to obtaining the acknowledgement of the heavenly Tao. At that time, one would be able to sense the heavenly Tao. For example, since Duan Lingtian had entered the God King stage, he could sense that some of the people he had come into contact with had changed their appearances. However, most people's appearances gave him a natural feeling. This meant those people did not change their appearances at all. Lu Tianfeng's disciple, Tai Xingnan, is a prideful person. Naturally, she wouldn't easily change her appearance. As I've said, even if she changed her appearance, her bearing wouldn't be able to keep up. After listening to Yang Yuqin's explanation, Duan Lingtian finally understood what Yang Yuqin meant. Tai Xingnan was a very competitive person. Naturally, she would not change her appearance. After all, people would be able to see through her disguise. At that time, she could imagine that many people would make fun of her behind her back. Little junior brother, you should also summon your artifact soul. Seeing that Tai Xingnan's artifact soul had completely manifested, Yang Yuqin spoke to Duan Lingtian in a timely manner. He also wanted to resolve this matter as soon as possible, so that these two people from the Monorigin spirit cult could return to where they came from. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he did not waste any more words. With a thought, a divine sword flashing with 7-colored light appeared in front of him, emitting a dazzling radiance. A moment later, a beautiful figure in a rainbow-colored robe appeared in the void at the right time. It was none other than Huang Er. In front of so many people, Huang Er's temperament was cold. She was like a noble queen overlooking her subjects. In that instant, Duan Lingtian felt an intense hostility. It wasn't directed at him, but at Huang Er, and this hostility came from Tai Xingnan and her artifact soul. Let's begin. Lu Tianfeng, the vice sect leader of the Monorigin spirit cult, spoke in a timely manner. At the same time, a bright light flashed in his eyes. Although he had never come into contact with Duan Lingtian's divine sword, he could still sense that it was not simple when he extended his divine consciousness. Even when compared to his own full-soul high-grade divine artifact, it was not inferior in any way. It should be known that his superior divine artifact soul had been nurtured by him for many years. It had gone through a very long process before it became what it was today. He thought about how difficult it was for him to nurture his superior divine artifact to this extent, but Duan Lingtian was only a medium divine emperor, and he already had such a divine artifact. At this moment, the flames of jealousy burned in his heart. For the first time, he was jealous of a young man who was not even 1,000 years old. He now has such a superior divine artifact soul. In the future, when he enters the God Emperor realm, he can avoid the process of nurturing his divine artifact soul. We nurture our divine artifacts to resist the heavenly tribulation that comes once every 1,000 years. For God Emperors, nurturing their divine artifacts to increase their strength is far more cost-effective than cultivating to increase their strength. Thinking of this, Lu Tianfeng's heart was twisted with jealousy. A person who was originally more talented than him had such a divine artifact soul at the medium divine emperor realm. In the future, there would be fewer forks in the road. This was something that he didn't even dare to dream of when he was young. This kind of person shouldn't live in this world. Although Lu Tianfeng had long made up his mind to kill Duan Lingtian, at this moment, his impulse to kill Duan Lingtian was even stronger. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that Yang Yuqin and Yu Ying were here, and if it weren't for the fact that this was the Wanda Law Palace, he would have been unable to hold himself back and would have attacked. Yes, master. While Lu Tianfeng's mind was filled with thousands of thoughts, Tai Shengnan responded respectfully and then called out to her artifact soul. Then, the artifact soul, which looked like an old woman, began to check on Duan Lingtian's divine sword soul, Huang Er. After a while, the old woman's extended divine sense returned to her body. How is it? Tai Shengnan looked at the old woman and asked with bright eyes. At the same time, Lu Tianfeng also looked at the old woman. How he hoped that the old woman would tell them that Duan Lingtian's divine sword soul still had the aura of a second owner. However, he knew that the possibility of this was very small. Since Duan Lingtian dared to come and Yang Yuqin dared to bring him here, it meant that he was confident. The old woman's next words also proved this point. The divine sword soul only has his aura in it. There is no aura of a second person. It's undoubtedly his divine weapon, the old woman said. It was not that she did not want to slander Duan Lingtian and help Tai Shengnan and the Monorigin spirit sect, but from the beginning, Lu Tianfeng had asked Tai Shengnan to tell the truth. Therefore, she could only tell the truth. Vice Leader Lu. As the old woman's voice fell, Yang Yuqin looked at Lu Tianfeng and smiled faintly. Now that the results are out, our Myriad Arts Academy can be considered to have given your Monorigin spirit sect an explanation, right? Lu Tianfeng smiled faintly. Vice Leader Yang, I'm only here to go through the formalities on behalf of the sect. I personally do not doubt the Myriad Arts Academy's impartiality. Since the matter is settled, we master and disciple will take our leave. After bidding farewell to Yang Yuqin, Lu Tianfeng also bid farewell to Yu Ying. When he came, he naturally hoped that Duan Lingtian's divine weapon soul had the aura of a second owner. Then, he would have an excuse to destroy Duan Lingtian. The moment Duan Lingtian and Yang Yuqin appeared together, he knew that his chances were slim. The result was similar to what he had guessed. A moment later, Lu Tianfeng left Myriad Arts Academy with Tai Shengnan and headed back to the Monorigin spirit sect. On the way, Tai Shengnan asked, Master, just now, you deliberately mentioned that Duan Lingtian is less than 1,000 years old in front of Yu Ying, the vice leader of Myriad Arts Academy, right? She had only just found out that Duan Lingtian was less than 1,000 years old. Before this, she had never heard her master mention it. Even her master, who had never mentioned this matter to her, had brought it up in front of another vice palace master of Myriad Arts Academy. She couldn't help but suspect that her master had done this on purpose. Yes, it was on purpose. Lu Tianfeng narrowed his eyes, which were filled with killing intent. Yuing is one of the vice leaders of Myriad Arts Academy, the vice leader of the Legacy Branch. Su Bailey, the vice leader of Myriad Arts Academy, wants to cultivate Yang Yuqin as the next vice leader of the Legacy Branch. This has made Yang Yuqin a thorn in the side of Yuing and the other vice leader of the Legacy Branch. Yang Yuqin's advantage is that he is younger than them, and his talent and comprehension are stronger than theirs. Moreover, his strength is not weaker than any of them. Of course, Yang Yuqin has his disadvantages as well. He doesn't have any outstanding juniors by his side, unlike Yu Ying and the others who have disciples and grand disciples all over Myriad Arts Academy. Duan Lingtian's appearance has undoubtedly broken this balance. The more outstanding Duan Lingtian is, the more this balance will be shattered. At that time, do you think he'll have a good ending? Lu Tianfeng's smile was somewhat sinister as he spoke. Master, you mean? Tai Xingnan's eyes lit up. Tai Xingnan's eyes lit up. The 10,000 Arts Academy's line of inheritance will eliminate Duan Lingtian? That's true. They won't be able to deal with Yang Yuqin. However, it won't be difficult for them to deal with Duan Lingtian. In fact, in order to prevent Yang Yuqin from ascending to the position, they might even use the life of a god emperor to exchange for Duan Lingtian's life. Tai Xingnan's eyes shone brighter as she spoke. The smile on Lu Tianfeng's face became even more brilliant. Myriad Arts Academy. After Lu Tianfeng and his disciple left, Yang Yuqin and Duan Lingtian bade farewell to Yu Ying and his disciple and left. On the way back, Duan Lingtian said with a smile, Lu Tianfeng, the vice leader of the Monorigin spirit sect, said in front of Vice Palace, Master Yu, that I'm not even 1,000 years old. Is he planning to use Vice Palace, Master Yu, to get rid of me? Yang Yuqin smiled as well. Isn't it obvious? However, I'm afraid he would never have imagined that the Palace Master has already warned the Legacy Branch to protect you. After Duan Lingtian and Yang Yuqin left, Yu Ying and his disciple did not follow them. Master, is Duan Lingtian really not even 1,000 years old? Yu Ying's disciple had a look of disbelief on his face. Yu Ying's eyes flashed when he heard this. It shouldn't be fake. Lu Tianfeng deliberately mentioned this in front of me because he wants to use me in the Legacy Branch to get rid of Duan Lingtian. If it was before, even if we knew that he wanted to use the Legacy Branch to get rid of Duan Lingtian, we would still do it. But now, the Palace Master has spoken, which is equivalent to giving him a death exemption card. Even if Lu Tianfeng really wants to make a move in the academy and get someone to touch him, we still have to protect him. Chapter 41-29. Third Senior Brother. Duan Lingtian asked in confusion, why would the Monorigin sect and other heavyweight forces send their disciples or family members to Myriad Law Academy? Before Duan Lingtian came to the 10,000 Arts Academy, he had heard that there were people from powerful forces studying in the 10,000 Arts Academy. In fact, there might even be people from Overlord Ultimate God's forces studying in the 10,000 Arts Academy. At that time, he only thought that some of the younger generation of those forces came to Myriad Law Academy because they could not get good treatment in their respective forces. It was not until he came to Myriad Law Academy for a period of time that he realized his previous thoughts were completely wrong. Although there were cases of people from major Ultimate God forces coming to Myriad Law Academy to study, it was very rare. For example, Myriad Law Academy had not heard of any major Ultimate God forces coming to Myriad Law Academy. Of course, it did not mean that there were no students from major Ultimate God forces in Myriad Law Academy. After all, if the other party deliberately concealed their identity, no one would know that they came from a major Ultimate God force. As for major Ultimate God forces, those who came from those heavyweight godly venerable level forces and entered the Myriad Law Academy to become its students were not mediocre. They were all well-known figures in their respective forces. They were all young prodigies with ultimate god potential, not to mention others, just the 5 people from the Monorigin sect that he had killed earlier. Not to mention Wang Yunsheng, the Holy Son. The other 4 were all ordinary people. They might not be as good as Wang Yunsheng, but they were not much worse. Even if 2 of them joined forces, they could probably fight Wang Yunsheng for hundreds of rounds without being defeated. If the 3 of them joined forces, they could at least tie with Wang Yunsheng and even have a certain chance of winning. If the four of them joined forces, they could easily kill Wang Yunsheng. I heard. Among the 8 students from the Monorigin sect in Myriad Law Academy, other than the 5 I killed, the remaining 3 are not mediocre. One of them is also known as the number 1 below the Holy Sun in the Monorigin sect. However, because the 3 of them do not belong to the same faction as Wang Yunsheng's group of 5, they did not participate in targeting me this time. When Duan Lingtian asked Yang Yuqin, he also told him what he knew. In addition, it's said that the people from the other major God Venerable level forces who are in our Myriad Law Academy are all outstanding people. They are all the best among the younger generation of those forces. The more ordinary ones are the disciples of ordinary ultimate God sects or clans, Duan Lingtian added. When Yang Yuqin heard this and saw that Duan Lingtian did not continue, he smiled and said, I didn't expect that you would discover this not long after entering the palace. It had to be said that when he first discovered this, it was a long time after he had entered the academy. His little junior brother, on the other hand, had only been here for a short period of time, yet he had already discovered this. Of course, he was well aware that the reason why his junior brother was able to discover this so quickly was most likely related to the conflict with the disciples of the Monorigin sect. Not bad. Yang Yuqin nodded and said, the people from the major forces are indeed the young prodigies of their clans and clans. They may not be the top prodigies, but they are still the second-tier prodigies. When I first learned about this, I was also quite puzzled. It wasn't until second senior brother explained it to me that I found out that there are things that the major God Venerable level forces want in the Myriad Law Academy. To be precise, the ancestors of the Myriad Law Academy had promised something to the major God Venerable level forces. It's a long story. Let's talk about it at my place. Yang Yuqin did not send Duan Lingtian back. Instead, he brought Duan Lingtian to his residence in the Myriad Law Academy as the Vice Palace Master's residence. It was a spacious mansion. In the mansion, there was a front yard and a backyard, which occupied an extremely large area. Inside the mansion, one could see the chores and cleaners. However, as soon as Yang Yuqin called out to them, all of them left, leaving only Duan Lingtian and Yang Yuqin behind. Speaking of which, the things that the Myriad Law Academy obtained back then were not only due to the contributions of the major God Venerable level forces, but also our internal palace branch. It was also at that time that our internal palace branch obtained the ultimate expert's remains. That ultimate expert's remains were completely discovered and obtained by our internal palace branch's ancestors. Therefore, even if others were jealous, they had nothing to say. As for the Myriad Law Academy, our internal palace branch has never taken up any resources. The people of the internal palace branch also enjoy the treatment of ordinary students in the Myriad Law Academy. Therefore, no one said anything about not sharing it with the entire Myriad Law Academy. Of course, in the history of our internal palace branch, there are still a few people who, after paying a certain price, obtained the permission of the current leader of our internal palace branch to enter the ultimate expert's remains. At this point, Yang Yuqin paused for a moment before continuing. Back then, what the Myriad Law Academy obtained was not considered an ultimate expert's remains. However, it was an independent dimension opened up by an ultimate expert. Moreover, it was an independent dimension opened up by many ultimate experts. That independent dimension was also a training ground. There were all kinds of opportunities left behind by the ultimate experts. Moreover, it was the kind that was constantly updated. Upon hearing Yang Yuqin's last words, Duan Lingtian could not help but be startled. Constantly updated? Yes, constantly updated. Yang Yuqin nodded. Every time the Myriad Arts Academy opens that place, those supreme powerhouses will update everything inside at the right time. For example, some of the opportunities inside will be obtained, as well as the way to obtain them will all change. In addition to some opportunities that have appeared before, new opportunities would appear. That place. You can think of it as the benefits that the ultimate experts gave to the Myriad Law Academy and more than a dozen other heavyweight ultimate god forces. Duan Lingtian understood when he heard Yang Yuqin's explanation. In that case, Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed. That place is actually similar in nature to the realm battlefield? Yes. Yang Yuqin smiled and nodded. His junior brother was indeed a smart person. He understood immediately. That place is similar to the realm battlefield. There are opportunities left behind by the ultimate experts, however, compared to the realm battlefield where everyone from the realm of gods can enter. That place is only accessible to those who are permitted by the Myriad Law Academy. Moreover, there are restrictions. That place is a training ground left behind by the ultimate experts for the younger generation. Therefore, only young people under the age of 10,000 can enter. Moreover, there's a limit to the number of people who can enter each time. The upper limit is 100 people. Out of the 100 spots, 20 of them belong to the Myriad Law Academy. The remaining 80 spots are divided among more than a dozen heavyweight forces. At that time, the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace managed to seize the 100,000-year ownership of the Trial of God from the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. Duan Ling Tian explained, it's a competition between the profound gangland and another powerful force in the realms of gods. It's also because of that competition that our Myriad Jurisprudence Palace managed to obtain the 100,000-year ownership of the Trial of God. Of course, during this process, other heavyweight ultimate god forces helped. Therefore, every time the Trial of God opens, they'll have a share. However, it's a benefit that their ancestors obtained for them. If they want to enjoy this benefit, they have to pay a price. At the very least, those who want to enter the Trial of God must pay a price. Let them enter the Myriad Law Academy and become a Myriad Law Academy student. Then, they'll have to accumulate a certain number of credits in the Myriad Law Academy to be qualified to enter the Trial of God. For example, out of the 8 people from the Monorigin Spirit sect who entered the Myriad Arts Academy, only 4 of them have accumulated enough credits to qualify for the Divine Trial. However, 3 of them were killed by you. Yang Yuqin smiled and said, I'm afraid there won't be many people from the Monorigin Divine sect entering the Trial of God in the coming days. After all, time is of the essence. It won't be easy to accumulate enough credits in such a short period of time. It's also because of this that the Monorigin Divine sect won't let the matter of you killing Wang Yuxing and the other 4 go. Originally, this matter could be solved by a lesser ultimate god elder, but they sent a vice sect leader instead. After listening to Yang Yuqin's words, Duan Lingtian learned many things he did not know before. Among them, the thing that surprised him the most was the Trial of God. The Trials of God was an independent plane that several supreme powerhouses had opened up together. Were the various trials in there also the supreme powerhouses who had put in the effort to update them in a timely manner? As expected of a top force in the realms of gods, I can't believe there are ultimate experts helping them nurture their juniors. Duan Lingtian sighed inwardly. Such treatment was not something he could receive in the Chunyang school. Perhaps, only the young prodigies from the Overlord ultimate god forces would not lack such treatment. After all, every Overlord ultimate god forces had an ultimate expert behind them. Ultimate experts would definitely have friends who were also ultimate experts, right? Pulling a few friends together to seek benefits for their juniors was also a very normal thing. Third senior brother, have you entered the Trial of God before? Duan Lingtian asked curiously as he looked at Yang Yuqin. Of course. Yang Yuqin nodded. It's not just me. Even your eldest senior sister and second senior brother have entered the Trial of God. You and your 4th senior sister will be able to enter the Trial of God in the coming days. Every 10,000 years, only one person from the inner palace will be allowed to enter the Trial of God. If the previous quota is not used, it can be accumulated until the next time. Of course, it can only be accumulated once. In other words, if the quota is not used for 2 consecutive 10,000 years, there will only be 2 quotas for the third 10,000 years. Chapter 41:30. In the last 10,000 years, no one from the internal palace met the requirements to enter the Trial of God, so the quota was left open. This time, the internal palace has 2 quotas. Yang Yuqin said to Duan Lingtian, only 1 quota in 10,000 years? Duan Lingtian frowned slightly. Is it enough? It's good enough to have 1 quota. Yang Yuqin smiled. Back then, the things that the few ultimate experts took out were not only the Trial of God, but also the ultimate expert's remains. It was considered a bonus at that time. When the ancestors of our inner palace helped the Myriad Arts Academy, they discovered it and took it for themselves. According to the words of the few ultimate powerhouses back then, the legacy of the ultimate powerhouses will belong to whoever discovers it. It was owned by an individual. Because of this, the ultimate expert's remains were publicly recognized as belonging to the internal palace, and no one could take it. It's not easy to take the inheritance from the Myriad Arts Academy. If an outsider took it, the inheritance couldn't just stand by and watch. No matter what, the internal palace is still one of the Myriad Arts Academy's own people. After listening to Yang Yuqin's explanation, Duan Tian finally understood the origin of the Supreme Powerhouse's relic in the Inner Palace. Previously, he only knew it was obtained by an ancestor of the Inner Palace. Now, he completely understood the origin of the ultimate expert's remains. As for whether the quota is enough or not, it's very rare that it's not enough. Yang Yuqin smiled. Moreover, even if it's not enough, you can fight for it yourself. You should know that even the inheritance only has 9 fixed quotas. The remaining 10 quotas are for other students in the academy to fight for. Of course, these 10 quotas can only be fought for by people who aren't heavyweight ultimate god forces. In the history of Myriad Arts Academy, there have even been people from heavyweight ultimate god forces who came in as students to fight for these quotas. However, such situations are rare. After all, heavyweight ultimate god forces also care about their reputation. Moreover, heavyweight ultimate god forces don't lack places like the Trial of God to cultivate their younger disciples. After all, they have ultimate experts behind them, living ultimate experts. After listening to Yang Yuqin's explanation, Duan Tian thought of his wife, Kerr. Since there are so many godly venerable rank forces, why would Kerr risk her life in the dimensional battlefield? These were all opportunities left behind by supreme experts. Wasn't the Trial of Gods the same as the planar battlefield? Perplexed, Duan Tian humbly asked his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, about this question. However, Yang Yuqin simply shook his head and smiled at his puzzlement. Little junior brother, any normal person would find your way of thinking very normal. However, you've neglected one point. Compared to a place like the Trials of Gods, the planar battlefield is much more unpredictable. The Trial of God couldn't compare to the many experiences of life and death. Even some of the fortuitous encounters in the planar battlefield can't be compared to the fortuitous encounters in the divine trials. The fortuitous encounters in the planar battlefield were left behind by a dozen or even more supreme experts. A place like the Trials of Gods was left behind by just a few supreme experts. Moreover, for supreme experts, even if it's just a game of chess, they still prefer a chessboard like the planar battlefield. It's big enough and exciting enough. After hearing Yang Yuqin's explanation, Duan Tian came to a sudden realization. At the same time, he felt a wave of bitterness in his heart. Kerr, is this why you entered the planar battlefield? Taking a deep breath, Duan Tian asked Yang Yuqin, senior brother, with my current strength, I should be able to protect myself if I enter the planar battlefield, right? When Yang Yuqin heard Duan Tian's words, he instantly frowned. Little junior brother, it's best that you don't have such thoughts for now. In the planar battlefield, there are as many godly emperors as dogs and godly emperors everywhere. Although your strength isn't weaker than an ordinary godly emperor's, it's nothing in the planar battlefield. In the planar battlefield, not to mention godly emperors, even godly venerables are common. In there aren't so many restrictions. It's common for godly venerables to kill godly emperors. Yang Yuqin paused for a moment before continuing. In our Myriad Law Academy's lineage of inheritance, as well as the major godly venerables forces, there's a clear rule. Only after entering the upper godly emperor realm and nurturing a high-grade divine artifact with a complete soul can one enter the planar battlefield. This is also in consideration of the safety of our disciples. Yang Yuqin's tone was a lot more serious now. Clearly, he was worried that Duan Tian wouldn't take his words to heart. After hearing Yang Yuqin's words, Duan Tian realized how lucky he was to have been able to survive in the planar battlefield. As for Senior Yi Beiyuan, who helped him in the planar battlefield and successfully left the battlefield, although he was a godly emperor, Duan Lingtian knew that there was a lot of luck involved. Moreover, Yi Beiyuan's range of activity should be near the military camp and not deep into the central region of the planar battlefield. In the central region, godly emperors and godly emperors died every day. Even godly venerables died every once in a while. When the battle was intense, there might even be a few godly venerables dying every day. In the various planes of gods, godly venerables weren't just limited to godly venerables' forces. Many godly venerables were hidden experts who didn't belong to any forces. Even among these hidden experts, there were many experts who used to belong to godly venerables' forces. Under the threat of the heavenly tribulation, they left their forces and became independent cultivators. They changed their way of life in order to advance further. The planar battlefield was an opportunity for these people. The most important point was, the planar battlefield wasn't like the trial of God, which restricted entry to people over 10,000 years old. There was no age restriction in the planar battlefield. Anyone could enter. Little junior brother, Yang Yuqin continued, speaking of which, compared to finding a needle in a haystack in the planar battlefield, the chances of finding a fortuitous encounter in the trial of God are much greater. Take me, eldest senior sister, and second senior brother for example. We more or less found some fortuitous encounters in there. For the current you, entering the trial of God is better than entering the planar battlefield. Moreover, the trial of God is about to begin. Yang Yuqin said, third senior brother, don't worry. I won't be entering the planar battlefield for the time being. Duan Lingtian smiled. He couldn't help but ask Yang Yuqin to confirm when the trial of God would open next time. After confirming, he couldn't help but sigh in relief. He could wait for 100 years. If it was a few hundred years or even 1,000 years, he definitely couldn't wait. It'll be difficult to enter the godly emperor realm in 100 years. However, it shouldn't be a problem to enter the high-level godly emperor realm. I'll try to raise my cultivation level to near the godly emperor realm before I enter the trial of God. Perhaps I can enter the godly emperor realm in the trial of God. Duan Ling Tian's eyes flickered with bright lights. Little junior brother, Yang Yuqin continued, don't think that the people entering the trial of God won't be a threat to you just because you killed the 5 from the Monorigin divine sect. The 5 from the Monorigin divine sect, even the holy son Wang Yunsheng, can't be considered the strongest of the Monorigin divine sect's younger generation. Based on past practice, the people sent by the major godly venerate factions to the Myriad Arts Academy aren't considered the top geniuses of their factions. Take the Monorigin divine sect for example. Even if you didn't kill the 5 from the Monorigin divine sect, they'll still send another 2 holy sons over in a few decades. Those 2, if there's no accident, they'll most likely be intermediate godly emperors by the time they enter the trial of God. Yang Yuqin's words caused Duan Lingtian's heart to tremble. Intermediate godly emperors? Moreover, they were intermediate godly emperors under the age of 10,000. In other words, they were already lower godly emperors now? Even if such seeded contestants entered the Myriad Arts Academy a few decades before the trial of God opened, they'd be able to quickly obtain enough credits in a short period of time. The credits awarded for godly emperor-level missions can't be compared to godly emperor-level missions. The credits in the Myriad Arts Academy were obtained by completing various missions issued by the Academy. Some of these missions were issued by the Academy, some by teachers, and some by students. The rewards for these missions were all in the form of credits. Third senior brother, fourth senior sister, and I don't have to accumulate a certain amount of credits to enter the trial of God, right? Duan Lingtian suddenly thought of this question. Of course not. Yang Yuqin smiled. No matter what, the Inner Palace is still a part of the Myriad Arts Academy. If the quota for the Inner Palace still requires academic credits, then it would be meaningless. Duan Lingtian suddenly understood. There's one more thing. As if suddenly remembering something, Yang Yuqin looked at Duan Lingtian and said again, although your fourth senior sister is a higher godly emperor, don't think that she'll be able to help you in the trial of God. The trial of God is a very strange place. Apart from entering, you won't appear in the same place. It's even possible that you won't be able to recognize your fourth senior sister even if you meet her face to face, unless you can confirm your identity after exchanging some words. Yang Yuqin's words made Duan Lingtian somewhat curious. Can't recognize each other even if we meet face to face? Yes. Yang Yuqin nodded. Not only will your appearance change, even your aura will change. Even if you use your divine sense to investigate, you won't be able to discover anything. Of course, the divine artifacts in your hands won't change. Inside, it is often possible to identify a person through a divine artifact that can identify them. Yang Yuqin's words made Duan Lingtian feel quite a bit of novelty. What kind of place could cause a person's appearance and aura to change? At this moment, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Ultimate experts really knew how to play. Chapter 41-31. However, at the same time, Duan Lingtian's heart trembled as he sighed with emotion at the Supreme Powerhouse's playfulness. Only then did he remember that his fourth senior sister was also a young genius under 10,000 years old. She was already a higher god emperor, and was even more monstrous than the two lower god emperor holy sons of the Monorigin spirit sect. Fourth senior sister. Thinking of his fourth senior sister who looked harmless but had extraordinary experiences, Duan Lingtian felt a wave of emotions. Perhaps it was because she was undistracted that she could cultivate to her current level. Of course, that was not necessarily the case. Not to mention fourth senior sister, even third senior brother must have entered the higher god emperor realm before he was 10,000 years old. After all, it was said that he had broken through to the ultimate god realm when he was 10,000 years old. It was not easy to break through to the ultimate god realm. No matter what, it was still the last great realm of cultivation before one could become a supreme expert. Third senior brother. In the current generation of the Xingang land, other than fourth senior sister, are there any other higher god emperors under 10,000 years old? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. Currently, the Monorigin spirit sect did not have any. As for the Myriad Law Academy, he was not sure if there were any other higher god emperors other than fourth senior sister. He was also not sure about the other heavyweight ultimate god emperor's forces, much less the giant ultimate god emperor's forces. However, it was possible that there were. Of course there are. Yang Yuqin's reply confirmed Duan Lingtian's guess. Let's not talk about the other forces. Even our Myriad Law Academy has a higher god emperor under 10,000 years old. Only the other heavyweight ultimate god emperors have some higher god emperors. Some of them are known to not have any, but I dare not say for sure. As for those giant ultimate god emperor's forces, they basically have more than one higher god emperor under 10,000 years old. After all, the resources they have are incomparable to our heavyweight ultimate god emperor's forces. I'm sure you've heard that in terms of top combat power, our Myriad Law Academy and the Monorigin spirit sect are not too far away from the giant ultimate god emperor's forces, right? Yang Yuqin asked Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian nodded. Both of them are high-level supreme gods. The difference isn't big. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Yang Yuqin smiled bitterly. Actually, the gap is huge. At the very least, the number of high-level ultimate gods is on a completely different level. However, most of the high-level ultimate gods of the giant ultimate gods forces are hiding behind the scenes. Some say they died under the heavenly tribulation, while others say most of them are still alive. However, it's true that we can't see them. No one has ever seen them, not even in those giant ultimate gods forces. Yang Yuqin said. Duan Lingtian suddenly realized the difference between a heavyweight ultimate god force and a giant ultimate god force. In fact, as soon as he learned about the existence of the Myriad Law Academy's Trial of God, and that the giant ultimate god forces did not lack such a place to train their younger generation, he had already felt the difference between a heavyweight ultimate god force and a giant ultimate god force. At that time, he thought that since the giant ultimate god forces had such resources, their top combat power should not be overtaken by the heavyweight ultimate god forces. It turned out that the rumor was because most of the high-level supreme gods of the giant ultimate god forces did not appear in public. If you have nothing else to do in the next 100 years, you can return to the inner palace to cultivate. The palace master has already warned the heritage branch, so they won't dare to act rashly. However, I'm still worried that the Monorigin spirit sect will encourage the disciples to attack you. As long as there's enough profit or a corresponding threat, it won't be difficult to find a suitable divine emperor to kill you. Yang Yuqian voiced his concern. Before you killed Wang Yunsheng and the others, your conflict with the Monorigin spirit sect was more in the dark. At least, that's what the Monorigin spirit sect thinks. In the past, it was only them who attacked you. You didn't do anything to them. Now that you've taken revenge on them, even if you're in the right and they don't dare to attack you openly because of the Myriad Law Academy, it's inevitable that they will attack you secretly. There were some things that Yang Yuqian had not said yet. The two Lesser God Emperor Holy Sons of the Monorigin Spirit Sect would be sent over soon. Perhaps they would be Lesser God Emperors by the time they arrived. He did not want his seemingly docile but hot-tempered little junior brother to go up against those two. Those two were not people Wang Yunsheng and the others could compare to. In the next 100 years, if you need anything for your cultivation, I'll do my best to find it for you. You're good at refining divine pills, so I can also find the herbs needed to refine divine pills. Although your current strength is not bad, you may not have an advantage in the trial of God, unless you're already a greater God Emperor by the time you enter the trial of God. His little junior brother was already stronger than most Lesser God Emperors when he was only a Lesser God Emperor. If he went one step further, it would be difficult to find a Lesser God Emperor who could be his opponent. Third senior brother, I have the same intention. Duan Lingtian did not reject Yang Yuqian's suggestion and even said that he had the same intention. From the moment he killed Wang Yunsheng and the other Monorigin Spirit Sect disciples, he knew that he had completely fallen out with the Monorigin Spirit Sect and that the Monorigin Spirit Sect would take revenge on him. In the past, he didn't cause any harm to the Monorigin Spirit Cult. At most, he didn't give the Monorigin Spirit Cult any face. Therefore, the Monorigin Spirit Cult only targeted his friends and family in the lower planes to disgust him. They had not reached the point of directly hiring assassins to kill him. But this time, it was different. Now, the Monorigin Spirit Sect might be waiting to watch a good show, waiting for the lineage of legacy to kill him, but they would not be able to watch for long. It would not be long before they found out that the lineage of legacy did not intend to kill him. If they investigated further, it would not be difficult to find out that the palace master had warned the lineage of legacy. In the lineage of legacy, all existences above the great God Emperor realm were aware of this matter. Through their dissemination, there were very few in the lineage of legacy who did not know about it. With so many people knowing about it, it would not be difficult for the Monorigin Spirit Sect to find out. It would be great if fourth junior sister was as easy to deal with as you. Yang Yuqian looked at Duan Lingtian with a gratified expression. At the same time, he did not forget to ridicule his fourth junior sister, which startled Duan Lingtian. Third senior brother, fourth senior sister. She seems quite easy to talk to, right? Easy to talk to? Yang Yuqian shook his head and added inwardly, that's only for you, junior brother. In the inner palace, that girl was not afraid of anyone except her eldest senior sister. Not only did she not like to listen to her third senior brother, but she also did not like to listen to her second senior brother. Now that she had a junior brother, she could enjoy being called a senior sister. From now on, this junior brother's words would be useful to her. Just as Duan Lingtian had expected, a few months after Duan Lingtian returned to the independent realm where the 10,000 Arts Academy's progeny resided, the single-origin divine sect finally learned the reason why the 10,000 Arts Academy's progeny did not kill Duan Lingtian. That old man Su Baili actually came out personally to warn the branch of legacy not to touch Duan Lingtian? Is it because of Yang Yuqian? Does he really want to push Yang Yuqian to the top? Isn't he afraid that those old fellows from the branch of legacy will be disheartened and rebel? The Monorigin Spirit Cult's vice sect master, Lu Tianfeng, was naturally a little angry after learning about the situation with the Myriad Law Academy's lineage of inheritance. He was originally prepared to watch the show, but he didn't expect that the Myriad Law Academy's palace master, Su Baili, would interfere. Humph. Since I can't count on the branch of legacy of Myriad Arts Academy, I'll find someone to do it myself. The branch of legacy is not the only divine emperor in Myriad Arts Academy. Lu Tianfeng took a deep breath and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He then issued an order, and before long, several people from the Monorigin spirit sect left. After they left, they also took a set of information with them. As for the content, it was information about some Divine Emperor teachers in Myriad Arts Academy. These Divine Emperor teachers were not from the branch of Legacy of Myriad Arts Academy. They were either from the branch of Legacy of Myriad Arts Academy or from some ordinary godly venerables or divine emperors. Some were even from small clans or sections. There were also many rogue cultivators. The reason why they went to the Myriad Laws Academy to be teachers was because they could enjoy a better cultivation environment and obtain more cultivation resources in the Myriad Laws Academy. The Monorigin spirit sect had also collected some information about these people. This time, it had come in handy. If temptation doesn't work, we'll use coercion. As long as they aren't overly selfish, they will have weaknesses. It's best to use their children to threaten them. No matter how many children they have, as long as they aren't from Myriad Arts Academy, capture them all. This was also Lu Tianfeng's reminder to the Monorigin spirit sect's elders who had left. The 7 prefectures could only be considered a small place in the entire profound Handle land. If it wasn't for the appearance of a Chunyang school disciple, Duanling Tian, at the 7 prefectures banquet, many people wouldn't have even heard of the 7 prefectures. However, this time, the 7 prefectures had become famous again. Have you heard? In the 7 prefectures, a high god emperor had killed a godly venerable level force and killed a godly venerable expert. He killed an enemy of a higher realm. He even killed an enemy of a higher realm. Is that true? This news has already spread like wildfire. Do you think it's true? A higher god emperor killed a godly venerables? Is this a joke? It's really not a joke. Which faction's godly venerables did he kill? It's a new godly venerables faction. That faction became a godly venerables because of that godly venerables. That godly venerables had just broken through. Even if it's just a lower godly venerables, a higher god emperor can't kill them. The gap between a god emperor and a godly venerables is huge. How did that higher god emperor do it? Chapter 4132. Little Junior Brother. Duanling Tian was originally cultivating peacefully in the inner palace when his 3rd senior brother, Yang Yuchun, came to look for him. It was a rare occasion. 3rd senior brother. What is the matter? Duanling Tian asked curiously when he saw that Yang Yuchun had come in a hurry. Little junior brother, when you were in Chunyang school, you seemed to be on good terms with Yi Chunfeng? Yang Yuchun asked. Yi Chunfeng? Duanling Tian nodded in response to Yang Yuchun's question. Elder Yi and I are on good terms. My master and Elder Yi call each other brothers. Duanling Tian knew very well that compared to him, Elder Yi actually valued his master more. This was because his master had won over Elder Yi in terms of sword Dao. As soon as he finished speaking, Duanling Tian seemed to have thought of something. His eyes narrowed slightly, and he asked Yang Yuchun anxiously, 3rd senior brother, what happened to Elder Yi? Although Yi Chunfeng had no intention of making him owe him a favor, he could not forget the favor he had done for him in the past. If not for Yi Chunfeng's help during the 7 prefectures banquet, his strength would not have improved so quickly. Of course, the current him did not have the ability to repay Yi Chunfeng's favor. However, when he suddenly heard his 3rd senior brother mention Yi Chunfeng and ask if he was on good terms with him, he could not help but feel anxious. He's fine. Yang Yuchun knew that his little junior brother had misunderstood. He's doing very well, better than anyone else. Speaking up to this point, Yang Yuchun's gaze suddenly became a little strange. He has already successfully stepped into the realm of Upper Divine Emperor. Upper God Emperor. When Duanling Tian heard this, a smile subconsciously appeared on his face. Elder Yi had broken through so quickly? Was it related to the 7 prefectures banquet's Holy Land secret realm? No matter what, after learning that Yi Chunfeng had stepped into the Upper God Emperor realm, Duanling Tian felt happy for him from the bottom of his heart. Of course, other than feeling happy for Yi Chunfeng, Duanling Tian was still a little surprised. Although he had long expected this day to come, he did not expect it to be so fast. When he was still in Chunyang school, He had heard from Zhen Pingfan that Yi Chunfeng was the one who had the highest chance of becoming a upper god emperor among all the emperor gods in Chunyang school. He was also the one who was closest to becoming a upper god emperor. Something's not right. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian realized that something was wrong. Third senior brother, what's the meaning of your gaze? You shouldn't be here just to tell me that Elder Yi has broken through to the upper divine lord realm, right? Just now, he felt that Yang Yuchin's gaze was a bit strange, but he didn't pay much attention to it, because his attention was more focused on Yi Chunfeng's breakthrough. Now, when he came back to his senses and saw that Yang Yuchin's gaze was still the same, he suddenly realized that Yang Yuchin still had something to say. When Yang Yuchin heard this, his expression suddenly became serious. After Yi Chunfeng stepped into the upper divine lord realm, he went directly to an ultimate god-level force without even stabilizing his cultivation base. He challenged the only ultimate god in that ultimate god-level force, a lower ultimate god. Hearing Yang Yuchin's words, Duan Lingtian's expression changed drastically. Challenging an ultimate god-level expert? Was Elder Yi? Was he crazy? Even if he was strong enough to fight opponents of a higher level, it did not mean that he could fight opponents of a higher level, especially when it was the difference between an emperor god and an ultimate god. Besides, Elder Yi had just broken through to the upper divine lord realm and had not stabilized his cultivation base. Even if his opponent was only a lower ultimate god who had not stabilized his cultivation base, he was still not someone he could deal with. Do you want to know? Why did he kill that lower ultimate god? Yang Yuchin asked with a smile. Third senior brother, what I want to know is, how did Elder Yi escape unscathed in the end? Duan Lingtian said with a serious expression. Until now, his third senior brother was still smiling, which meant that Yi Chunfeng was most likely fine. After all, he had just admitted that he had a good relationship with Yi Chunfeng. Under such circumstances, his third senior brother would not be smiling like this when Yi Chunfeng was in trouble. Don't worry. I'll talk about this later. Yang Yuchin was not surprised that his little junior brother could tell that Yi Chunfeng was fine. After all, the smile on his face said it all. Speaking of which, it was that ultimate god-level force's ultimate god who was domineering. In the early years, when Yi Chunfeng was still a divine emperor, he was already an upper divine lord. Because of a small matter, he bullied the weak and almost killed Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng was lucky. At that time, a lower ultimate god happened to pass by. That upper divine lord did not dare to act recklessly for fear of angering the ultimate god. Yi Chunfeng took advantage of that opportunity to escape successfully. However, the ultimate god did not know Yi Chunfeng's identity at that time. He did not know that Yi Chunfeng was a disciple of the Chunyang school. In fact, many people did not know about this. It was not until Yi Chunfeng went to that ultimate god-level force and told them about it that this matter was made public. That ultimate god-level force's ultimate god-level expert also remembered Yi Chunfeng. At this point, Yang Yuchin paused for a moment. Under Duan Lingtian's urging gaze, he continued. When the ultimate god found out that Yi Chunfeng was that person and saw that Yi Chunfeng was already a dead upper divine lord, his expression changed drastically. After all, it was only a matter of time before such an existence surpassed him. So, he directly attacked Yi Chunfeng. Yang Yuchin spoke casually, but it caused Duan Lingtian to shudder with fear when he heard it. An ultimate god-level expert attacked Elder Yi. How did he escape unscathed? Could it be that someone helped him? Could it be his third senior brother? This time, was he here to take credit for his work? It was no wonder that Duan Lingtian would think so. Yi Chunfeng had just broken through to the upper divine lord realm and had yet to consolidate his cultivation. Even if his mastery of the sword principle was extraordinary and his comprehension of the law profundity was not weaker than that of an ordinary ultimate god, it was still difficult for him to defeat a lower divine lord. However, as Yang Yuchin continued, he realized that it was not Yang Yuchin who had attacked. It was Yi Chunfeng who had killed that ultimate god-level expert. Moreover, according to what Yi Chunfeng said after he killed the divine lord, he was going to kill the divine lord to settle the grudge between them all those years ago. Elder Yi is indeed very vengeful. However, he actually killed the ultimate god-level expert? He attacked as soon as he had the strength. Revenge really doesn't wait a night. Thinking back to what Jin Pingfan had told him about Yi Chunfeng's vengeful nature, Duan Lingtian was even more certain now. At the same time, he was secretly glad that he was not Elder Ye's enemy. Elder Yi, how is he so strong? Duan Lingtian looked at Yang Yuqin in shock. He has just broken through to the upper Divine Lord realm, but he can already kill a lower Divine Lord? That's what I wanted to ask you too. Yang Yuqin shook his head and said, killing a lower Divine Lord when he has just broken through to the upper Divine Lord realm. No matter how weak a lower Divine Lord is, it is not something a upper Divine Lord who has yet to consolidate his cultivation can kill. At least, this has never happened in the history of the Xinjiang land. Even eldest senior sister and I couldn't kill a lower-level ultimate god in a head-on battle before we consolidated our cultivation base as upper-level ultimate gods. That Yi Chunfeng is a monster. In the past, I have underestimated him. Yang Yuqin sighed. If I had known, I would have brought him back the last time. I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect this. Hearing Yang Yuqin's next words, Duan Lingtian also realized a problem. A person who had just broken through to the upper Divine Lord realm could kill a lower Divine Lord, and in the history of the Xinjiang land, such a person had never appeared before. Such a person must be very popular in the Xinjiang land, right? Third senior brother, there should be a heavyweight ultimate god force who will send someone to invite Elder Yi to join, right? Duan Lingtian asked Yang Yuqin. Previously, when he was still in Chunyang school, he heard from Elder Jin Pingfan that Yi Chunfeng had to enter the ultimate god realm if he wanted to join a heavyweight ultimate god force. Now, Elder Yi, who had just broken through to the upper Divine Lord realm, had killed a lower Divine Lord in a fair and square battle. Such a person must have great potential, right? He had just broken through to the upper Divine Lord realm and could already kill half of the lower Divine Lords. Then, when he entered the lower Divine Lord realm, wouldn't killing a medium Divine Lord be as easy as cutting vegetables? After all, the gap between the upper Divine Lord realm and the lower Divine Lord realm was much bigger than the gap between the lower Divine Lord realm and the medium Divine Lord realm. Of course, Yang Yuqin said matter-of-factly, this time, even the lineage of inheritance can't sit still. Maybe it's because I came out to bring you back last time and provoked them. This time, their Vice Palace Master Yuing, whom you met before, has personally gone to their lineage of inheritance. They're preparing to invite Yi Chunfeng to join the lineage of inheritance in the Myriad Law Palace. I just don't know if he'll succeed. At this point, Yang Yuqin looked at Duan Lingtian with a smile. Little junior brother, you have a good relationship with Yi Chunfeng? Why don't you get him to join our lineage of inheritance? Although it'll take nearly 10,000 years for us to enter the ultimate god relic of the inner palace again, we can give him the quota for the next entry in advance. Yang Yuqin's words stunned Duan Lingtian. Third senior brother, it'll take nearly 10,000 years for us to enter the ultimate god relic again? Why so long? When I went in, it wasn't that long ago when fourth senior sister went in, right? Only 2,000 years? Duan Lingtian was a little puzzled. Why would it take so long? When Yang Yuqin heard this, he shook his head and smiled bitterly. Little junior brother, it's all your fault. The longer you stay in there, the more the ultimate god relic will consume. How long has fourth junior sister been in there? How long have you been in there? When Duan Lingtian heard Yang Yuqin's words, he felt a little embarrassed at the same time. It turned out that it was because of him that the ultimate god relic was consumed so much that it could not be re-entered for the next 10,000 years. Of course, he also knew that he could definitely force his way in, but he would definitely not gain any benefits after entering. How about it? Little junior brother, why don't you give it a try? Clearly, Yang Yuqin really wanted to rope Yi Chunfeng in. Tell him that once he joins the lineage of inheritance, he'll be fourth senior brother. Fourth junior sister will become fifth junior sister. As for you, nothing has changed. You're still little junior brother. Chapter 41-33. Duan Lingtian was speechless when he heard Yang Yuqin's words. What do you mean I haven't changed and am still little junior brother? I've dropped from 5th to 6th. At this moment, he was not sure if Yang Yuqin was joking, so he said with a serious expression, Third senior brother, I can speak on behalf of the inner palace. However, at the same time, I'll also tell him about the current situation of the inner palace. If he doesn't choose the internal palace in the end, there's nothing I can do. Yang Yuqin could not help but laugh when he saw Duan Lingtian's seriousness. Little junior brother, I'm just joking. Don't be so serious. I have no intention of letting him join the internal palace. He's on the path of the sword and is very focused. If I let him come into contact with the path of control, it might waste his time and slow down his progress. I came to you mainly because I hope you can tell him not to consider the Myriad Law Academy's lineage of inheritance. I'm afraid he'll think you've joined the Myriad Law Academy and prioritized the Myriad Law Academy. Yang Yuqin explained his intentions. Why? Duan Lingtian was puzzled. Based on what he knew, joining the progeny of succession was no different from joining a heavyweight ultimate god sect. The resources and treatment in the progeny of succession were not inferior to heavyweight ultimate god sects like the Crimson Light Heavenly Palace and the Monarch Divine sect. Yang Yuqin continued, the legacy branch isn't too peaceful either. In recent years, they've been secretly competing against each other. I even suspect that the palace master wants me to take the position so that he can wake up those people in the legacy branch. However, although they're united in their attitude towards me, they're still fighting in private. Yi Chenfeng will be valued if he joins the lineage of inheritance. That's without a doubt. However, I personally feel that the lineage of inheritance's environment is not suitable for him. Moreover, no one in the lineage of inheritance has mastered the 4 Daos of heaven and earth. Only Vice Palace Master Yuing has mastered the fledgling form of Saber Dao. Although they're both weapons Dao, his attainments are much worse than Yi Chenfeng's. Also, I suggest that he doesn't rush to make a decision. This time, he's killed a lower ultimate god as soon as he entered the upper divine emperor realm. I'm afraid even the heavyweight ultimate god sects will be alarmed. I'm guessing those godly venerable level forces might also send someone to invite him. Compared to a heavyweight ultimate god force, it's better for him to join a giant ultimate god force. Among the giant godly venerable level forces, a sect is naturally his best choice. Yang Yuqin's words could be said to be very attentive, and this was also because he heard that his junior brother confirmed that he had a good relationship with Yi Chenfeng. Otherwise, what did Yi Chenfeng's choice have to do with him? A giant ultimate god-level force? Duan Lingtian was shocked. Even when he performed amazingly at the 7 Prefectures banquet in the 7 Prefectures, he did not attract the attention of any ultimate god forces. There was no shortage of people like him in the giant ultimate god forces. There were even people who were more talented than him. As for the resources he enjoyed in the past, they were not as good as the young geniuses of the giant ultimate god forces. However, the other party would not think too much about it. Perhaps they would think that he was lucky and had obtained some opportunities to help him grow. That was why he could achieve what he had at such a young age. Will someone from a giant ultimate god-level force really invite Elder Yi? Duan Lingtian asked curiously. I think so. Yang Yuqin said with certainty, after all, even among the giant ultimate god forces, there is no one who can kill a lower-level ultimate god as soon as they enter the upper-level ultimate god realm. Even the weakest lower-level ultimate god can't do that. Such a person, when he grows up in the future, how powerful will his combat strength be? Not everyone can become an ultimate god. No matter how high one's talent and comprehension is, they need certain opportunities and opportunities. However, as long as one has a good foundation, it's not difficult to enter the upper-level ultimate god realm. Based on Yi Chenfeng's current foundation, entering the ultimate god realm in a giant ultimate god force is basically a done deal. Once he enters the ultimate god realm, it's only a matter of time before he enters the ultimate god realm with his battle prowess and enough time for him to improve his cultivation. A monster like Yi Chenfeng, once he enters the upper-level ultimate god realm, how many people below the ultimate god realm can be his opponent? Of course, the premise is that his attainments in sword principles and the law he's good at will gradually improve and not stay in the same place. Duan Lingtian finally understood the situation after listening to Yang Yuqin's explanation. The giant ultimate god forces were interested in Elder Yi because of his combat strength. Once he was invited, they would definitely do their best to nurture him. This was because every giant ultimate god force wanted to have an invincible upper-level ultimate god. In this world, below the ultimate gods, the strongest were upper-level ultimate gods. There were strong and weak upper-level ultimate gods. A strong upper-level ultimate god can even kill a weak upper-level ultimate god. Duan Lingtian was instantly speechless when Yang Yuqin said that. They were both upper-level ultimate gods. How could the gap between them be so huge? After all, almost everyone who could enter the upper-level ultimate god realm was mediocre. What a joke. The heavenly tribulation came once every 1,000 years. How could one become a upper-level ultimate god without sufficient strength and talent? Third senior brother, I'm going out for a while to contact Elder Yi. Duan Lingtian had Yi Qinfeng's soul orb, but he was currently in an independent plane of the inner palace and could not use it to send a message. I'll go with you, Yang Yuqin said. Over at the Monorigin spirit sect side, everything seemed to be calm, and there were no movements in the Myriad Arts Academy. However, Yang Yuqin knew that the Monorigin spirit sect definitely had a backup plan. A contingency against his little junior brother. It would be fine if his little junior brother did not leave the inner palace, but if he did, he would most likely die. After a while, Duan Lingtian left the inner palace with Yang Yuqin. After leaving, Duan Lingtian did not hesitate and directly contacted Yi Chunfeng through his soul orb. Elder Yi, congratulations. His first sentence was to congratulate Yi Chunfeng. You know? Yi Chunfeng soon got a reply and asked with a smile. Yes. Duan Lingtian replied and then sighed. I didn't expect Elder Yi to be able to kill an ultimate god expert when you just entered the upper-level god emperor realm. Yi Chunfeng quickly said modestly, it's just someone who just entered the ultimate god realm. It's nothing. It's nothing? Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly. Elder Yi, I heard from my third senior brother that in the history of the Xingang land, there has never been anyone who could kill an ultimate god after entering the upper-level god emperor realm. It can be said that your achievement is unprecedented in the Xingang land. Duan Lingtian could not help but exclaim when he reached the end of his sentence. At the same time, he thought to himself, it seems that Elder Ye's cultivation has not only increased, maybe his sword principle has also improved. Duan Lingtian knew that Yi Chunfeng's sword principle was not weaker than his. It was not strange that he had entered the next realm first. Your third senior brother? Yi Chunfeng was puzzled. He did not know that Duan Lingtian was in the Myriad Arts Academy. After all, the Tunglong province where the Chunyang school was located was too remote. Even the 7 prefectures where Tunglong province was located were far away. It's Yang Yuqin who went to receive me, Duan Lingtian said. The Vice Palace Master of the Myriad Arts Academy? The medium ultimate god? Yi Chunfeng's reply was a little surprised and shocked. After all, in his eyes, Yang Yuqin was an unreachable existence. A medium ultimate god in his early 20s. Moreover, in terms of combat strength, he was not weaker than the other veteran medium ultimate gods in the Myriad Arts Academy. Even he did not have the confidence to surpass such an existence. Yes, Duan Lingtian replied. I'm relieved that he's your senior brother. That kid, Ping Fan, can also rest assured, Yi Chunfeng said. Although his tone was calm, Duan Lingtian could hear the relief in his voice. Naturally, a warm current rose in his heart. Elder Yi. At this time, Duan Lingtian also returned to the main topic and told Yi Chunfeng everything that his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, had said to him. In his opinion, there was no need to hide this. Moreover, his third senior brother was a medium ultimate god expert. His words were even more persuasive. On the other side, Yi Chunfeng only spoke after Duan Lingtian finished speaking for a while. Duan Lingtian, I originally planned to go to the Myriad Arts Academy. However, knowing that Vice Palace Master Yang is now your third senior brother, I'm relieved. Although Yi Chunfeng did not say it explicitly, Duan Lingtian could still tell that Yi Chunfeng intended to enter the Myriad Arts Academy to take care of him. Regarding this, Duan Lingtian's heart throbbed again. After taking a deep breath, Duan Lingtian said again, in short, Elder Yi, please don't be anxious. Let the people from the heavyweight ultimate god forces wait. Wait for the people from the heavyweight ultimate god forces to come. You don't have to worry about what they'll do to you, or that you can't refuse them. When the heavyweight ultimate god forces arrive, they'll naturally retreat. While Duan Lingtian returned to the independent dimension where the internal palace was located to cultivate, outside the Myriad Arts Academy, in a mountain cave in the mountain range. The three figures gathered together. The three of them were all teachers of the Myriad Arts Academy without exception. Teachers in the Emperor God realm, 2 medium Emperor gods, and 1 lower Emperor god. If Duan Lingtian doesn't appear, there's nothing we can do. Where did he go? Could it be that the rumors about the internal palace are true? Did he go to the independent dimension where the internal palace is located? The lower Emperor God among the three asked in a low voice. There's no smoke without fire. The internal palace should really exist. Otherwise, how can we explain that we can't find him? We can be sure that he didn't leave the academy. Another medium Emperor God said, if that's the case, he didn't have a chance to make a move. We can't be blamed for this. The last medium Emperor God said, do you think the people who threatened us with our families are from the Monorigin sect? After all, before we were threatened, Duan Lingtian had just killed a few people from the Monorigin sect. Do we still need to guess? I just want to confirm it further. It seems like everyone thinks so. Chapter 41-34. For the teachers who were threatened to kill Duan Lingtian, killing Duan Lingtian was the same as cutting off their escape route. Once they made a move, they would definitely die regardless of whether they succeeded or not. However, they had no choice. This was because their loved ones, who were more important than their own lives, had been forcibly taken away. If they did not kill Duan Lingtian, their loved ones would die. Don't try to bluff your way out of this. We have spies in the Myriad Law Palace as well. If we find out that you didn't kill Duan Lingtian when you had the chance, your loved ones will pay the price. When they thought of the threat, the teachers who were at the God Emperor stage felt angry and helpless. They were angry because they were being threatened. They were helpless because their loved ones had been taken away. They could only do as they were told because they did not want anything to happen to their loved ones. However, until now, they had not found a chance to make a move. Ever since Duan Lingtian killed Wang Yunsheng and the other 5 disciples of the Monorigin spirit sect, he had completely disappeared from everyone's sight. He was no longer in his dormitory. They were anxious because they had not found a chance. Now that they had gathered together, they were comforting each other. It's not that we don't want to make a move, but we don't have a chance. Since they said they have spies in the Myriad Law Palace, they shouldn't vent their anger on our loved ones. I hope so. I have a feeling we can't trust their words completely. That may be the case, but we have no other choice. For now, we can still confirm whether our loved ones are still alive through their soul pearls. It's fine as long as they're alive. I thought I'd be considered a top figure after entering the God Emperor stage. I didn't expect to be threatened into doing something I didn't want to do. Duan Lingtian, who had returned to the independent realm where the inner palace was, naturally did not know that many teachers in the Myriad Law Palace had been threatened. Every one of them was waiting for him to appear so they could kill him. Of course, although he did not know this, he could still sense the potential danger in the Myriad Law Palace after being reminded by his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin. Moreover, he was fully focused on preparing for the opening of the divine trials. He planned to become a high-level divine emperor before that. Therefore, he did not plan to leave the inner palace for the time being. Under such circumstances, the people from the Moniker spirit cult who had been watching Duan Lingtian naturally came up empty-handed. Duan Lingtian must have gone into seclusion. I didn't see him again. Helpless, the people arranged by the Monorigin spirit sect passed the news back to the Monorigin spirit sect and the deputy sect master, Lu Tianfeng. After hearing this news, Lu Tianfeng naturally couldn't be in a good mood. In a gloomy mood, he ordered, continue to keep an eye on him. As soon as he appears, immediately contact those God Emperor teachers of Myriad Arts Academy and have them attack and kill Duan Lingtian. I want to see how long he can hide. I don't believe that he can keep his cool. However, in the next few decades, Lu Tianfeng helplessly discovered that Duan Lingtian was really able to keep his cool and did not appear again. It was as though he knew about Lu Tianfeng's plan. He's really able to keep his cool. It seems like I've underestimated him. After a few decades, Lu Tianfeng's desire to kill Duan Lingtian had increased instead of decreasing. It seems like he's preparing for the divine trials in 50 years. Lu Tianfeng was the vice sect leader of the Mon-Origin spirit sect after all. No matter how much he wanted to kill Duan Lingtian, he still retained his rationality. If such a scourge really enters the trial of God, I'm afraid it'll be even harder to kill him when he comes out. Now, unless it's a particularly powerful lower-level God Emperor, it'll be difficult to kill him. He's not even 1,000 years old. He was not even 1,000 years old, but he had already achieved so much. If he was given a few more decades, he might even become a high-level God Emperor. If he entered the trial of gods at that time and obtained some benefits, he might even become a God Emperor. With the cultivation of a middle-level God Emperor, his strength would not be weaker than most lower-level God Emperors. If such a person entered the God Emperor realm, even if he was just a lower-level God Emperor, it would be difficult to find a match for him. I can't let him continue to grow. Absolutely not. Taking a deep breath, Lu Tianfeng stood up and left his residence. He went straight to the sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect to explain his apprehension. After listening to Lu Tianfeng's explanation, the sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect's expression turned slightly solemn. A genius who was already standing against the Mon-Origin spirit sect. Once such a person matured in the future, he would be a great threat to the entire Mon-Origin spirit sect. That night, the sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect brought Lu Tianfeng, the deputy sect master, to a few other core members of the Mon-Origin spirit sect for a small meeting. Sect master. One of the deputy sect masters said solemnly, "That Duan Lingtian, is there any possibility of us making peace with him? A genius like him who has grown to this day and is still alive and kicking isn't easy to kill." Before the sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect could speak, Lu Tianfeng spoke first. It's impossible to make peace with him. Even if we do, he won't necessarily believe us. Even if he's willing to agree, we don't dare to take the risk. He hasn't matured yet. Once he does, he'll be able to go back on his word. That's a huge threat to our Mon-Origin divine sect. Therefore, I don't recommend making peace with him. It's best if we find an opportunity to kill him to prevent future trouble. Lu Tianfeng's tone was incomparably cold when he reached the end of his sentence. I think Deputy Sect Master Lu's words make sense as well. The other core members, including the sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect, echoed Lu Tianfeng's words. For a time, this small meeting confirmed the Mon-Origin spirit sect's attitude toward Duan Lingtian. Kill. They had to kill him at all costs. Sect master, the other two holy princes should be heading to the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace soon, right? Lu Tianfeng asked the sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect. Yes. The sect master of the Mon-Origin spirit sect replied, "It's about time. Otherwise, if we can't gather enough credits, the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace won't give us a place to enter." Lu Tianfeng's eyes gleamed when he heard this. Sect master, after the two holy princes have gathered enough credits, let them see if they can find an opportunity to have a life-and-death battle with Duan Lingtian. If I'm not mistaken, by that time, Duan Lingtian will most likely have entered the stage of a superior divine emperor. Of course, it'll be the kind that hasn't consolidated his cultivation base yet. Lu Tianfeng said, if the two holy princes haven't broken through to the stage of a medium divine emperor, let them suppress their cultivation base for a while. When they have a life-and-death battle with Duan Lingtian, let them break through. At that time, with the holy prince's means, it'll be easy to kill Duan Lingtian. Lu Tianfeng suggested. Of course, the people I find will also find an opportunity to kill Duan Lingtian. However, I'm afraid that Yang Yuqin will secretly protect Duan Lingtian. If that's the case, even if there are many divine emperors attacking Duan Lingtian won't be in any danger. Therefore, it's safest to let the holy princes sign a life-and-death contract with him and kill him in a life-and-death battle. Moreover, the holy princes will have enough reasons to kill him. After all, he killed 5 people from the Mon-Origin spirit sect earlier. When he reached the end of his sentence, Lu Tianfeng's eyes began to shine with an incomparably cold light. All right. The sect master of the Monorigin spirit sect pondered for a moment before he nodded. I'll arrange this matter. Originally, they still had to wait for a while before they set off. Now, it seems like it's better to set off earlier. Let them set off for the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace in 3 days. 3 days later, at the Monorigin Spirit Sect's encampment, a divine artifact spaceship broke through space. There were 5 people in the spaceship. There were 2 young men, 2 old men, and a middle-aged man. One of the old men was the vice sect master of the Monorigin Spirit Sect, Lu Tianfeng, Senior Uncle Tianfeng. The handsome young man in a long blue robe looked at Lu Tianfeng and asked bluntly, "Is that Duan Lingtian from the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace really less than 1,000 years old?" Yes. Lu Tianfeng's face was cold earlier, but when the young man asked him the question, he forced a smile that was uglier than a crying face. "I can confirm this matter. The people I sent to the lower realm have confirmed it many times. There's no way it's fake. Duan Lingtian came from the mundane realm and is less than 1,000 years old, but he already has everything he has today. Moreover, he has mastered the sword Dao. Even his attainments in the law of space are extraordinary." Lu Tianfeng paused for a moment before he continued. "I suspect that he obtained the inheritance of a supreme powerhouse who's skilled in the law of space, and that supreme expert's legacy contained his own supreme expert's divinity. I'm guessing that this is the reason why his attainments in the law of space are superior to most god emperors, even though he's not even 1,000 years old." In fact, Lu Tianfeng was guessing blindly. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian was not here. Otherwise, he would have been shocked. After all, he had hidden the supreme powerhouse godhead so well that it was impossible for anyone to discover it. Supreme powerhouse godhead? The young man's eyes lit up when he heard Lu Tianfeng's words. That's good stuff. Very few supreme powerhouses' inheritances have left such things behind. Of course. At this time, the other old man who had been silent all this time said, "Very few supreme powerhouses can leave behind a godhead. Even if they want to leave behind a godhead, they might not succeed. This is why the godhead of a supreme powerhouse is so rare. If you can obtain the supreme powerhouse godhead, even if you haven't come into contact with the supreme powerhouse's law beforehand, you'll be able to comprehend that law in a short period of time. You might even be able to surpass the law you're skilled in a short period of time. If you have the chance to kill him and obtain the supreme powerhouse godhead, it'll be great news for you. Of course, the possibility of this is not high. He might have hidden the supreme powerhouse godhead in his self-destructed spatial ring. If he dies, the supreme powerhouse godhead will disappear into the spatial turbulence along with the spatial ring." Chapter 41:35. I heard he has comprehended the sword Dao. Moreover, his attainments in it are extraordinary. Could it be? Could it be the legacy of a supreme powerhouse? The young man asked again. I don't think so. Lu Tianfeng shook his head. His sword Dao originated from his master in a lower realm, the heavenly emperor of the solitary destructive heaven, Feng Qingyang. Feng Qingyang was also a genius in the lower realm. He comprehended the sword Dao on his own. When he was in the mundane realm, he had already mastered the rudimentary form of the sword Dao. He was undefeated in 10,000 battles. Later on, when he came to the Devata realm, he walked his own path of the sword Dao and mastered the true sword Dao. Duan Lingtian's sword Dao originated from him. Lu Tianfeng's eyes gleamed as he continued to say, however, according to the news from the people I sent out, Feng Qingyang might have also obtained the legacy of a supreme powerhouse since he managed to return alive from one of the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realm, the Azura Hell. The Azura Hell. Upon hearing Lu Tianfeng's words, the young man and the others present on the scene were shocked. Although they were from the realms of gods, they knew about the 7 deadliest places in the Devata realms. Some of the deadliest places were even used by the Monorigin spirit sect as training grounds for the younger generation. However, there were 3 deadliest places that not many people dared to enter even in the Monorigin spirit sect. It was said that even ultimate gods would not be able to survive if they entered one of the 3 deadliest places. It was said that there were ultimate gods in the top 3 deadliest places in the Devata realms. They might not even be humans. They would kill anyone who trespassed without any reason. They regarded the 3 deadliest places as their territories. The Azura Hell was one of the deadliest places in the Devata realms. It was one of the top 3 deadliest places in the Devata realms. Not only was it a deadliest place for people from the Devata realms, but it was also a deadliest place for people from the realms of gods. Vice Sect Leader Lu, what was Feng Qingyang's cultivation base when he returned alive from the Azura Hell? At this time, even the middle-aged man who had been silent all this while couldn't help but speak. This time, the 2 holy sons of the Monorgan Spirit Sect were heading to the Wanda Law Palace. The Monorgan Spirit Sect sent 2 medium-level ultimate gods and a low-level ultimate god to escort them. One of them was Lu Tianfeng, while the other was the middle-aged man, one of the 4 great guardians of the Monorgan Divine Sect. As for the other old man, he was a lower-level ultimate god elder of the Monorgan Divine Sect. However, he was one of the top 3 lower-level ultimate gods in the Monorgan Divine Sect. Protector Long. When Lu Tianfeng looked at the middle-aged man, there was a hint of dread in the depths of his eyes, but on the surface, there was a smile that was uglier than crying. According to the feedback from the people I sent out, that Feng Qingyang had just become a god when he came out of Azura Hell. When I entered, I had yet to become a god. As soon as Lu Tianfeng said this, the others present couldn't help but be shocked. Without becoming a god, he entered Azura Hell and returned safe and sound? It was said that even an ultimate god would face certain risks if he entered Azura Hell. Yet, Duan Lingtian's master entered without becoming a god and survived? What kind of luck was that? Because of that, I suspect he has obtained the inheritance of a supreme expert. Lu Tianfeng continued, even the inheritance left behind by a high-level ultimate god may not be able to save his life. Only the inheritance left behind by a supreme expert is possible. After Feng Qingyang came out of Azura Hell, his cultivation base has improved tremendously. It's far from what it used to be. This is also one of the reasons why I suspect he has also obtained the inheritance of a supreme expert. Upon hearing Lu Tianfeng's words, the middle-aged man made a guess. Did Feng Qingyang give Duan Lingtian the supreme expert's divinity? Did both of them encounter the same supreme expert's relic? Impossible. Lu Tianfeng shook his head. Duan Lingtian must have obtained the supreme expert's divinity before Feng Qingyang entered Azura Hell. This is because his spatial law had improved tremendously before that. The 2 of them, master and disciple, should have each obtained the inheritance of the strongest. As soon as Lu Tianfeng said this, the remaining 4 people looked at each other speechlessly. Was this a joke? The inheritance of a supreme expert was extremely rare. Anyone who could obtain the inheritance of a supreme expert was a person with heaven-defying luck. However, both Duan Lingtian and his master had obtained the inheritance of a supreme expert. At this moment, they felt that it was unrealistic. Could it be that both of them were favored by the heavens? Vice Sect Leader Lu, do you think the probability of both of them obtaining the inheritance of a supreme expert is high? The middle-aged man asked Lu Tianfeng. Lu Tianfeng was stunned at first, then he smiled bitterly. Protector Long, if someone else told me this, I would also find it unbelievable. But the problem is, this is a done deal. Even if Duan Lingtian didn't obtain the supreme expert's inheritance, he must have obtained the supreme expert's divinity from somewhere. Otherwise, there's no way to explain his rapid improvement in the law of space. Lu Tianfeng still firmly believed that Duan Lingtian's rapid improvement in the law of space had something to do with the supreme expert's divinity. Otherwise, he couldn't think of anything else other than the supreme expert's divinity that could allow a person less than 1,000 years old to achieve such attainments in the law of space. Not to mention the young geniuses from the giant ultimate god forces. When they were less than 1,000 years old, their attainments in the law of space were far inferior to Duan Lingtian. Even the son of a supreme expert who was less than 1,000 years old could not have Duan Lingtian's attainments in the law of space. That's true. The middle-aged man nodded when he heard this. He might not have obtained the supreme expert's inheritance, but even if he didn't, the Supreme Expert's divinity isn't inferior to the other Supreme Expert's inheritances. Duan Lingtian's luck is unbelievable. Lu Tianfeng nodded in agreement when he heard the middle-aged man's words. Even if he wanted to kill Duan Lingtian as soon as possible, he had to admit this. Duan Lingtian was a man of great fortune. If he didn't die halfway, he would definitely soar to the sky in the future. And this was what he feared the most. The people he sent to the lower realm had already told him that Duan Lingtian was very protective of his people when he was in the lower realm. If anything happened to the people around him, he would be angrier than if someone offended him. Although Lu Tianfeng and the Monorigin spirit sect could deny Duan Lingtian's actions in the lower realm. However, when Duan Lingtian grew stronger in the future, it wouldn't be difficult to find out the truth. At that time, the Monorigin spirit sect might not be able to shake Duan Lingtian, but it wouldn't be difficult to kill him. He knew very well that once Duan Lingtian had truly grown to a certain extent, the monarch spirit sect would definitely hand him over to appease his anger. Therefore, Lu Tianfeng was the person who wanted Duan Lingtian dead the most in the Monorigin spirit sect. A supreme expert's divinity. It would be more interesting if there were some stakes in a life-and-death duel. The young man who had taken the initiative to ask about Duan Lingtian was one of the two holy sons from the monarch spirit sect. At this moment, a hint of greed could be seen in his eyes. Oomph! The other young man who had been silent all this while snorted. If you want to bet with him, you have to take out something of equal value. Otherwise, do you think he'll bet with you? That's a supreme expert's divinity, not some random stone. The young man was also a holy prince of the Monorigin spirit sect. He used to be a lesser god emperor, but he had successfully advanced to become a lesser god emperor. As for the other young man, he could have broken through recently as well, but he was in no hurry to do so because the Monorigin spirit sect's sect leader had talked to him. Now, he could break through at any time. That's true. The young man in front, who was the only lesser god emperor of the Monorigin spirit sect, shook his head. I can't take out something of equal value to a supreme expert's divinity. At this moment, the middle-aged man with the surname Long smiled faintly and said, if you can convince Duan Lingtian to bet with you when you have a life-and-death battle with him, you can't take out something of equal value to a supreme expert's divinity, but it's not like the sect can't. Of course, the supreme expert's divinity is a priceless treasure. However, as long as you take out something that's enough to tempt Duan Lingtian, and he thinks he'll definitely win, he might agree. Perhaps he'll only realize how foolish he was when you have a life-and-death battle with him and make a breakthrough. The young man's eyes lit up when he heard the middle-aged man's words. Don't celebrate too early. Protector Long continued, even if you win and kill Duan Lingtian, the supreme expert's divinity in his hands won't belong to you. It'll belong to the sect. Of course, you can have priority to use it for a while. The young man smiled at Protector Long's reminder. Of course, I know that. It's good enough that I have priority. The supreme expert's divinity could help one comprehend the laws of nature. It was useful even for godly venerables. In the Monorigin spirit sect, although the higher godly venerables were not proficient in the law of space, there were intermediate godly venerables who were proficient in the law of space. Since the supreme expert's divinity had arrived, he would have priority to comprehend it. Of course, if he was the one who won it, then his priority would naturally be ranked at the top. It's best not to complicate matters. Lu Tianfeng frowned and said, if you mention the supreme expert's divinity, he might not admit it. After all, he agreed to the life-and-death battle with you. He must be confident that he can kill you and survive. Wouldn't he be courting death if he revealed the supreme expert's divinity under such circumstances? Who wouldn't be tempted by the supreme expert's divinity in this world? Therefore, the possibility of Duan Lingtian admitting he has the supreme expert's divinity is almost zero. Chapter 4136. When Lu Tianfeng landed on the ground, everyone fell silent again. That was indeed the case. It seems like there's no other way. The lower god emperor stage monarch, holy son of the monarch spirit sect side. I forgot about the consequences of exposing his supreme being godhead. Even the middle-aged man was speechless now. Previously, He had been so excited by the paramount godhead that he had forgotten about it. Although he was not an expert in the law of space, his elder brother, the other guardian of the Monorigin sect, was an expert in it. If the paramount godhead fell into the hands of the Monorigin sect, his elder brother would have the absolute priority to use it. He might even become the strongest person under the greater god realm in the Monorigin sect. Marshal Uncle Tianfeng, do we really have to earn the credits of the Myriad Law Academy? I heard that although it's not much, it's quite troublesome. The lesser god emperor Holy Son of the Monorigin sect changed the topic and asked, "We have to earn them," Lu Tianfeng said in a low voice. "Don't take any chances. This is also the agreement between the Myriad Arts Academy and the Monorigin Divine Sect. It has always been this way. In the past, there were a few people who didn't earn credits, but they were all denied entry to the Trial of God in the end. The Trial of God is controlled by the Myriad Law Academy. It's up to the Myriad Law Academy to decide who can enter and who can't. I know you've received preferential treatment in the sect, but that's only in the sect. You don't have to keep a low profile in the Myriad Law Academy, but it's best not to be too conceited. Not long from now, the top prodigies of the major god venerable level factions at Myriad Law Academy will be heading there. Even the inheritances of Myriad Law Academy are full of prodigies, and there is no lack of existences that are not weaker than you." While Lu Tianfeng was warning the two of them, Enforcer Long would also interrupt from time to time, reminding the two of them to focus on completing missions in the Myriad Law Temple before entering the Trial of God. Only after earning enough credits could they do other things. Even if they wanted to challenge the Duan Ling Tian, they could only do so after they had accumulated enough credits. This time, even if you can't kill Duan Ling Tian, it doesn't matter. Lu Tianfeng continued, "If Duan Ling Tian enters the Trial of Gods, as long as he doesn't die inside, when he comes out, there's an 80 to 90% chance that he'll be a divine emperor. At that time, it will be more difficult than ascending to the heavens for the Monorigin sect to kill him. Of course, if he really enters the god emperor realm, I won't let him live peacefully. At that time, I'll spread the news that he has the supreme powerhouse divinity. Even if it's not confirmed, people will definitely be tempted. Perhaps some of the utmost powerful beings will head over to verify this matter. If that Duan Ling Tian doesn't cooperate, he'll definitely die if he encounters one or two hot-tempered ultimate experts or their envoys. When that time comes, even the current palace master of Wanlai Palace, Su Baili, won't be able to hold him back." Lu Tianfeng smiled coldly as he finished speaking. Upon hearing Lu Tianfeng's words, Protector Long shook his head. Unless it's confirmed, the utmost powerful beings won't participate. Moreover, if he intentionally hides this matter, no one will dare to verify its authenticity. Also, no one can snatch it. The item is in the self-destructing ring. Even if the utmost powerful beings make a move, they won't be able to retrieve it. If the item is swept into the spatial turbulence, it'll be like looking for a needle in a haystack to find it. Protector Long's words made Lu Tianfeng frown slightly, but in the end, he said, even if the utmost powerful beings don't make a move, someone will definitely take the risk and force him to hand over the item. I don't believe that he can hide in Wanlai Palace forever. Now, there were still a few decades before the opening of the Trial of God. Wanlai Palace welcomed the first batch of top prodigies from heavyweight godly venerable rank forces. The two most outstanding youths of the Monorigin sect's younger generation, two God Emperor Holy Sons. One was an intermediate God Emperor, while the other was a lesser God Emperor. Their arrival naturally caused a huge commotion in the 10,000 Laws Palace. God Emperors who were not even 10,000 years old. Even within the 10,000 Law Palace, such a character could only be found in the Legacy branch. At least, that was what most people thought. Junior brother, I was really worried about you when I learned that 5 of our sect members were killed in Wanlai Palace. Fortunately, you're smart and didn't get involved. I've heard about it. Wang Yunsheng and the others are idiots. If they weren't confident, why would they sign a life and death contract with them? The lesser god emperor Holy Son of the Monorigin sect, a handsome young man with a hint of evilness, had just arrived at Wanlai Palace when 3 people came knocking on his door. They were the last 3 Monorigin sect disciples in Wanlai Palace before the arrival of the 2 Monorigin sect Holy Sons. Of course, this was only on the surface. There must be other Monorigin sect disciples hiding their identities in the dark. Senior brother. In front of the young man, the usually arrogant Hu Lanqi was extremely respectful. He was not convinced by Wang Yunsheng, but that did not mean he was not convinced by the young man in front of him. The young man was not much older than him, but he had already entered the lower God Emperor realm. He was only half a step away from the intermediate God Emperor realm. Furthermore, the other party's master and his own master were martial brothers that had become disciples of the same master. Furthermore, they had a very good relationship. This also led to their relationship being quite good. Senior brother, you haven't entered the intermediate God Emperor realm yet? Hu Lanqi asked curiously, but he felt that this was not the case. The young man, who was the Monorigin Divine Sect's holy son, Mengyu, didn't respond immediately. Instead, he glanced at the 2 people beside Hu Lanqi and said, "The 2 of you, go to the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace and tell me which Celestial Emperor level missions are available." Yes, senior brother Meng. It was not difficult for the 2 of them to guess that Mengyu had something to say to Hu Lanqi. However, they did not show any dissatisfaction and left one after another. As soon as they left, Mengyu raised his hand and a formation plate rose into the air. The formation extended and completely covered the courtyard he and Hu Lanqi were in. It isolated sound and divine consciousness from probing. Seeing that Mengyu had activated the formation, Hu Lanqi's expression suddenly became a little solemn. He knew that his senior brother was definitely going to tell him some secret things. Junior brother. Mengyu smiled and said, "Actually, if I wanted to, I would have entered the intermediate God Emperor realm some time ago. The reason I'm still a lower God Emperor is because the sect leader told me not to rush to break through. He hoped that I could provoke the Duan Lingtian to have a death duel with me. Then, I would break through during the death duel and kill the Duan Lingtian in one fell swoop. Of course, if I didn't have the chance to have a death duel with the Duan Lingtian, I would have broken through on my own before entering the trial ground." Hu Lanqi was enlightened when he heard Mengyu's words. "I see. I knew it. Senior brother, based on the cultivation base you displayed earlier, you should have broken through by now." Hu Lanqi's expression turned solemn again. "Senior brother, I'm afraid it won't be easy to kill the Duan Lingtian. Recently, he has disappeared without a trace. He should be in secluded cultivation. He wants to take a step forward before entering the divine trial grounds. When we see him again, he will most likely already be a high divine emperor. At that time, he will be able to kill an ordinary intermediate god emperor with his full soul high-grade divine sword." Hu Lanqi glanced at Mengyu. Although he did not continue, it was not difficult for Mengyu to guess what he was going to say next. "What? Do you think I'm not a match for the Duan Lingtian?" Hu Lanqi felt a little embarrassed when he heard this. However, despite his embarrassment, he still continued to say, "Senior brother, this time, you should have the high soul grade divine weapon that senior uncle lent you." However, the Life and Death duel in the Myriad Arts Academy's Hall of Life and Death doesn't allow the use of borrowed high soul grade divine weapons. "Of course, I know this," Mengyu said indifferently. "Even if I don't have a full soul high grade divine weapon, I'm confident that I can kill him when he's a higher God Emperor when I've just broken through to the intermediate God Emperor realm. Even if I've just entered the intermediate God Emperor realm, there are very few intermediate God Emperors who can be his match." Mengyu's words were full of confidence. "He's just a higher God Emperor. What do I have to fear? It's better to be careful." Hu Lanqi smiled bitterly. "Although I haven't dealt with him before, I want to watch the death duel between him and Wang Yunsheng. He's not an ordinary God Emperor. Even if I look at him from afar, I can feel how dangerous he is. Senior brother, you should know that I'm naturally more sensitive in this aspect. My talent in this aspect has saved my life several times at critical moments. Martial uncle should have mentioned these things to you before." Hu Lanqi's face was full of fear as he spoke. "I know this." Mengyu nodded. "However, it's normal for you to feel that he's dangerous. It's abnormal if you don't feel that he's dangerous. You're not even as strong as Wang Yunsheng. let alone someone who can kill Wang Yunsheng and the other intermediate god emperors. If you go up against him, I'm afraid he'll kill you in an instant. Meng Yu's words did not leave Hu Lanqi any face at all. Hu Lanqi was not angry because he was used to his senior brother's straightforwardness. That's true. However, senior brother, it's best to be cautious. Time flew by like a white steed flitting by a crack. In the blink of an eye, another few decades had passed. When Duan Lingtian walked out of his room, there were only 7 years left before the trial of God opened. 7 years left? Although the breakthrough is slightly later than expected, at least I've broken through. As a higher god emperor, my divine power has transformed, and my strength has improved as well. Now, if I go up against Wang Yunsheng and the other intermediate god emperors again, I can easily defeat them even without the 7 orifices exquisite sword. Duan Lingtian's eyes flashed with confidence. End of this chapter. Chapter 41-37. Even if he had not completely stabilized his cultivation base, the increase in his cultivation base was huge. After Duan Lingtian stepped into the last realm of the Deity Emperor realm, the Upper Deity Emperor realm, the divine power in his body had undergone another transformation. The transformation was even greater than the transformation from a lower Deity Emperor to a middle Deity Emperor. However, I owe third senior brother a big favor this time. For almost 100 years, Duan Lingtian had not earned any cultivation resources. He had been living off his savings. Whatever he could eat had been eaten by him decades ago. The rest was given to him by third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, in the inner palace. According to Yang Yuqin, a person would only have one chance to enter the trial of God in their lifetime. Therefore, he had to do his best to take advantage of it. Although many of the opportunities in the trial of God were not as good as those in the dimensional battlefield, they were still opportunities left behind by omnipotent experts. They were not simple things. Omnipotent experts were the most powerful beings in this world. Even the strongest upper deity was no different from an ant in front of them. It was said that the difference between an upper deity and an omnipotent expert was even greater than the difference between a lower deity and an upper deity. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. No matter how strong an upper deity was, he was nothing in front of an omnipotent expert. An omnipotent expert could not be reached through normal cultivation. It required an opportunity. This opportunity was either comprehending the profundity of the laws to a certain extent or mastering the 4 Tao of heaven and earth to a certain extent. Moreover, if one possessed the 5 divine elements and the 5 divine elements had evolved to their highest form, they could also help a higher ultimate god become an ultimate god. All 3 paths could lead to an omnipotent expert. Of course, other than these 3 paths, there might be other paths. However, most people only knew of these 3 paths. These 3 paths would lead to becoming an omnipotent expert. The trial of God. Third senior brother said that if I'm lucky, I might be able to completely consolidate my cultivation base as an upper deity emperor and break through to become an emperor god. An omnipotent expert is so powerful. How could he leave behind such a place? Even now, thinking of this, Duan Lingtian's heart could not help but tremble. It should be noted that the Myriad Arts Academy was second only to the major forces in the realms of gods. However, even the most outstanding person in the Myriad Arts Academy would not be able to consolidate his cultivation base as a high-level Celestial Emperor and advance to the Celestial Emperor realm in such a short period of time, even if the Myriad Arts Academy spared no effort in providing him with resources. However, the utmost powerful beings had such means. There are still 7 years left. In these 7 years, I'll comprehend the laws of space, sword Tao, and control Tao. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Although Duan Lingtian had not given up on comprehending the laws of enlightenment, the sword principle, and the way of control in the past 100 years, he had spent most of his time on cultivation. For the next 7 years, he did not plan to cultivate. He planned to focus on these 3 areas. Any breakthrough in any of these would be a great improvement for him. His strength would also rise to a new level. Currently, he had extremely high attainments in the laws of space, the laws of time, the sword principle, and the way of control. Any breakthrough in any of these areas would be a qualitative change to his strength. For the next 7 years, Duan Lingtian immersed himself in studying the laws of space, the sword principle, and the way of control. Although there was no substantial improvement in the other areas except for the law of space, he still had some insights. As long as he was given more time, there would naturally be substantial improvements in all of them. As for the law of space, since he possessed the godhead of an omnipotent expert, it was a green light for him in this regard. Occasionally, he would encounter some bottlenecks, but after observing some battles between experts who were good at the law of space, he could easily resolve them. Therefore, in the past 6 years, his improvement in the law of space was the greatest. He even had a new breakthrough. With my current attainments in the law of space, it's difficult to find another person below the ultimate god level in the Xinjiang land who can surpass me. On this foundation, coupled with the way of control, it's even stronger. Duan Lingtian originally planned to temporarily put aside the law of space for the next year and focus on the sword principle and the way of control. However, after another month of closed-door cultivation, he was awakened by his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin. Third senior brother, are you looking for me? After Duan Lingtian walked out of his room, he looked at Yang Yuqin in the courtyard and asked with a smile, "Little junior brother." Yang Yuqin smiled. "In another year, the divine trials will be opened. You shouldn't stay in the internal palace to cultivate all day long. Go out for a walk, relax and relax." As early as a few decades ago, all the major ultimate god forces have sent their strongest young prodigies here. Now, the academy is much more lively than before. As soon as Yang Yuqin said that, Duan Lingtian's eyes flickered. Have all the young geniuses from the major ultimate gods' forces arrived? These people were basically existences who had entered the Emperor God realm, and all of them were young people who were not even 10,000 years old. Little junior brother. While Duan Lingtian was still thinking, a pleasant voice was heard. Then, a young girl came to Duan Lingtian's courtyard without any courtesy. It was none other than Duan Lingtian's fourth senior sister, Lang Chunwan. At this time, Lang Chunwan was staring at Duan Lingtian with bright eyes. Little junior brother, third senior brother, usually doesn't let me go out. This time, he finally let me go out with you. You must take me out for a walk. Otherwise, I can only wait for the divine trials to open before I can go out. As she finished speaking, Lang Chunyuan pouted her little mouth and put on a pitiful look. When Duan Lingtian saw this, he could not help but look at Yang Yuqin. Yang Yuqin also said helplessly through voice transmission, "This girl will definitely cause trouble whenever she goes out unless I keep an eye on her." Just like the last time, she almost killed a disciple of the legacy who spoke ill of me outside. Last time, someone made fun of her because she was short and only said a few words. After that, she didn't make a move in the academy. Instead, she went out with that person, put him in a sack, and beat him half to death. Last time, as Yang Yuqin mentioned a few cases, Duan Lingtian took another look at his fourth senior sister. The corner of his mouth could not help but twitch. Based on what his third senior brother said, his fourth senior sister was really a troublemaker. I can't always pay attention to her. Go out with her and keep an eye on her. Don't let her cause trouble. She still listens to you, said Yang Yuqin. Duan Lingtian nodded. Duan Lingtian smiled wryly to himself. Would his fourth senior sister really listen to him? Usually, he thought that this fourth senior sister was quite good, but when others really angered her, would she really listen to his advice? However, since his third senior brother had said so, Duan Lingtian did not say anything else. After Yang Yuqin, his third senior brother, left, Duan Lingtian and his fourth senior sister, Lang Chunwan, left the independent realm where the inner palace was located. He did not know that when he and Lang Chunwan left, there were two figures hiding in the dark in the sky, watching them from afar. Lang Chunwan followed by Duan Lingtian's side. She looked around excitedly as though she was a child from the mountains who was entering a city for the first time. She was curious about everything. Duan Lingtian brought Lang Chunwan out. Along the way, they encountered some students from Myriad Law Palace who recognized him. It's Duan Lingtian. I haven't seen him for a long time. Yes, I haven't seen him since he killed Wang Yunsheng. the holy son of Monorigin divine sect, and the others in the hall of life and death. Who's the young girl next to him? I think I've seen her before. She should be a student from Myriad Law Palace as well? Compared to Lang Chunwan, who lived in seclusion and did not cause any trouble in Myriad Law Palace, Duan Lingtian's battle in the Hall of Life and Death had alarmed the entire Myriad Law Palace. At that time, many people had gone to watch in person. Even those who did not go to watch had seen the scene of Duan Lingtian fighting in the Hall of Life and Death through the scryer images recorded by some people through the floating image pearl. It could be said that there were very few people in Myriad Law Palace who did not know of Duan Lingtian's existence. Little junior brother, why do I feel like they all know you? Lang Chunwan could not help but frown slightly when she heard the whispers of the passers-by. She was little junior brother's senior sister. But now, these people in Myriad Law Palace did not know her, but knew her little junior brother. What was going on? How long had little junior brother been in Myriad Law Palace, and how long had she been in Myriad Law Palace? These people did not know her, but they knew little junior brother. At this moment, Lang Chunwan could not help feeling a little jealous. They must have seen my scryer images. Duan Lingtian smiled. It was not difficult for him to guess this. Scryer images? Lang Chunwan was puzzled. Duan Lingtian did not hide anything and told Lang Chunwan about the life and death battle between him and the 5 people of Monorigin spirit cult in the Hall of Life and Death. After that battle, there are probably not many people in Myriad Law Palace who do not know me. Lang Chunwan's eyes lit up when she heard this, giving Duan Lingtian the feeling that she could not wait to challenge someone to a life and death battle. Little junior brother, didn't you say that there are other people in Monorigin spirit cult? Say, if I challenge them to a life and death battle, will they agree? Lang Chunwan asked. Duan Lingtian felt powerless and helpless when he heard this. Other people in Monorigin spirit cult? The remaining 3 people were not even stronger than Wang Yunsheng, who was killed by him. Even if the 2 holy sons of Monorigin spirit cult who were god emperors came and joined forces, they would not be a match for his 4th senior sister, 3rd senior brother Yang Yuchen, had told him long ago that his 4th senior sister's cultivation was not low, but her comprehension of profound was also stronger than most high-level god emperors. This kind of high-level god emperor bullied 3 high-level god emperors? Unless their brains short-circuited, they would never agree to a life and death battle with his 4th senior sister. What? Just as Duan Lingtian was feeling helpless, his 4th senior sister Lang Chunwan's voice suddenly rang in his ears. Her voice was sharp and cold. Chapter 41:38. Who's there? 4th senior sister Lang Chunwan's voice had just entered his ears when Duan Lingtian felt a chill run down his spine. 3 murderous intents had locked onto him at the same time. In the next instant, 3 figures suddenly charged out from the surroundings and headed straight for him. There was no warning at all. Duan Lingtian had already seen the 3 of them. However, he had thought that they were passers-by and had brushed past them. He had not expected that when he and 4th senior sister Lang Chunwan had passed by them, the 3 of them had attacked at the same time. The 3 of them were very fast and their divine powers were raging. They were obviously emperor gods. Moreover, they were 3 intermediate emperor gods. Oh no! At this moment, Duan Lingtian's expression changed when he saw the 3 intermediate emperor gods charging towards him. He did not dare to be careless and his divine power swept out from his body. The 7 orifices exquisite sword appeared in his hand in a flash. Since he had already used the 7 orifices exquisite sword previously, there was nothing to worry about now. Not only that, but a figure also came out from Duan Lingtian's body and stood back to back with him. It was his Space Law doppelganger. The Space Law doppelganger also had a sword that was emitting an awe-inspiring aura in his hand. This sword was not an ordinary upper-grade divine sword that he had used in the past. It was a half-soul upper-grade divine sword that his 3rd senior brother Yang Yuchen had given him. Although its power was not as strong as a full-soul upper-grade divine sword like the 7 orifices exquisite sword, it was still far stronger than an ordinary upper-grade divine sword. However, in the next instant, Duan Lingtian realized that he had worried for nothing. The 3 of them were attacking Duan Lingtian and were extremely close to Duan Lingtian. Just as Duan Lingtian was about to be killed by the three of them, a cold and indifferent voice suddenly rang out. Those who want to kill my junior brother deserve to die. In the next instant, Duan Lingtian only saw a flash in front of his eyes. After that, the murderous eyes of the three people who were originally charging towards him suddenly dimmed, and the luster in their pupils began to dissipate. Whoosh! After the young girl's figure transformed into a silhouette that dispersed, her corporeal figure appeared before Duan Lingtian. On her left hand, there was a claw that fit perfectly with her left hand. It looked very sharp, and its whole body was shining with a strange light. There was a blood-red light flowing on it, as if blood was flowing. Fourth Master Teacher. Just as Duan Lingtian opened his mouth to speak, he saw the bodies of the three people who were charging towards him being torn apart like pieces of paper. Blood stained the ground. A pile of bloody body parts that were as thin as paper were brought close to Duan Lingtian by inertia. Then, they were directly vaporized by an extremely powerful destructive force. 3 middle-level God Emperors had died without leaving behind any corpses. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, and it was swift to the point the people in the surroundings were unable to react at all. They were still shocked by the fact that the 3 people had tried to kill Duan Lingtian. In the next instant, the 3 people who had just gotten close to Duan Lingtian were directly killed again. The person who had killed them in an instant was not Duan Lingtian, but the girl beside Duan Lingtian. She appeared to be a harmless young girl with a pretty face. However, at this moment, her face was cold and indifferent. Her eyes were flickering with a bloodthirsty luster. She was like an Azura. The destructive force that was radiating from her gave people a suffocating feeling. This is a high-level God Emperor? Among the people passing by, there was no lack of God Emperors. When they sensed the power and aura that was radiating from the girl, their expressions changed slightly. They had never imagined that this girl who looked so young was actually a high-level God Emperor. The 3 people just now seem to be our teachers from the law school, right? I know one of them. He's my friend's teacher. They actually tried to kill Duan Lingtian just now? Are they crazy? Aren't they afraid of death? Attacking in public in the academy, they will definitely die. Don't tell me they don't know this? This matter is a little strange. Who is this young girl by Duan Lingtian's side? Why is she so strong? Even if it's a high God Emperor, it's rare for him to be this terrifying, right? The people passing by all stopped in their tracks. When they looked at Duan Lingtian again, their faces were full of shock. More people's gazes fell on the girl. This girl was too strong. She looked harmless, but once she exploded, she was like a bloodthirsty Azura. In the blink of an eye, before they could react, the 3 middle-level God Emperors of Myriad Law Academy teachers had all died. Teachers from Myriad Law Academy? Duan Lingtian frowned slightly. Although he had vaguely guessed the identities of these 3 people, he could not help but sigh in his heart when he heard others confirm it. Earlier, Yang Yuqin had told him about this possibility. The Monorigin sect had threatened some teachers in Myriad Law Academy to kill him. There were many ways to threaten them. As long as these teachers had people or things they cared about more than their own lives, they would be easily threatened. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Moments after Lang Chunwan killed the 3 middle-level God Emperors of Myriad Law Academy teachers, swift figures broke through the air and arrived. An old man took the lead and appeared. His speed was so fast that Duan Lingtian could not even catch a glimpse of his figure. One must know that with his current strength and eyesight, even an ordinary high-level God Emperor would find it difficult to reach this step. The person in front of him was obviously stronger than an ordinary high-level God Emperor. Perhaps he was a supreme god? What's going on? The old man looked at the bloodstains on the ground with a gloomy expression. He glanced at the girl in front of Duan Lingtian, and finally his gaze fell on Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian? He recognized this young man at a glance. It was the monstrous genius whose name had spread throughout the academy 100 years ago. Before Duan Lingtian could speak, Lang Chunwan, whose expression gradually returned to normal, snorted coldly and looked at the old man. Old man, they wanted to kill my little junior brother, but I killed them. You're not convinced? You want to interfere in this matter? Even if I'm not your match, you may not be my third senior brother's match. When Lang Chunwon said this, the old man was first stunned, then his expression changed. The higher divine emperor, who looked like a young girl, addressed Duan Ling Tian as little junior brother, and she said that he was not her third senior brother's match. Duan Ling Tian was her junior brother, so her third senior brother was undoubtedly the same person as Duan Ling Tian's third senior brother, their Myriad Law Academy's Vice Palace Master, Yang Yuqin. She's actually Vice Palace Master Yang's junior sister. No wonder, so she's Vice Palace Master Yang's junior sister. I didn't expect Vice Palace Master Yang to have such a junior sister. I've never heard of her before. The Inner Palace branch was too mysterious. Not many people in Myriad Law Academy knew of its existence. After Lang Chunwon entered the Inner Palace branch, she had only left the Inner Palace branch a few times, and each time she did not reveal her identity. Naturally, there were not many people who knew that Yang Yuqin had a junior sister like her. Teacher Yuan. At this time, when a few other figures arrived, a lower god emperor teacher who was passing by greeted the old man in a timely manner. Then, he told the old man in full detail about what had happened earlier. The surrounding people nodded in agreement. The three of them joined forces to kill Duan Lingtian. The old man's expression changed, and at the same time, anger rose in his eyes. Recently, he had been patrolling this area. If the three of them really succeeded and killed Duan Lingtian, he would not be able to absolve himself from the blame. When the patrolling teachers who had followed the old man heard the whole story, their expressions changed as well. 3 teachers of Myriad Law Academy had joined forces to kill Duan Lingtian. Had they gone mad? At this moment, the news spread through the entire Myriad Law Academy at an extremely fast speed through the transmission of messages from the people present. In fact, many people in the 10,000 Arts Academy had learned about Duan Ling Tian's assassination attempt at this moment. Failed? In the Monorgan Spirit Sect's encampment, Vice Sect leader Lu Tianfeng's expression changed and became extremely unsightly when he received the news from Myriad Art Academy. Before the 3 of them had made their move, he had already known. For this reason, he had been waiting for the good news to come back. 3 intermediate god emperors had tried to kill Duan Lingtian, and Duan Lingtian only had an ordinary-looking girl by his side. Moreover, no one knew who she was. Under such circumstances, who would think she was a threat? As for investigating the girl, it was naturally inconvenient. If they did, they would definitely alarm Duan Lingtian. However, what he did not expect was that not only were the people present mistaken, but he had also mistakenly overlooked the girl. The girl was a higher god emperor. Moreover, she was Duan Lingtian's senior sister and Yang Yuqin's junior sister. She's proficient in the law of destruction and has a full soul high-grade god artifact. She killed 3 intermediate god emperors in half a breath's time? How come I've never heard of Yang Yuqin having such a junior sister before? Does this mean she's also from the Inner Palace Division where Yang Yuqin is? At Lu Tianfeng's level, even if the Inner Palace Division was not well known, he still knew of its existence. At the same time, he also knew that there were not many people in the Inner Palace Division. When Duan Lingtian had joined Myriad Law Academy, Yang Yuqin had personally invited him. Therefore, he had guessed that Duan Lingtian had joined the Inner Palace Division. But who would have thought that the 10,000 Laws Palace's Inner Palace would have such a harmless-looking high god emperor who had ruined his plan? Now that I've failed, it'll be difficult to succeed again. Lu Tianfeng's expression became increasingly gloomy. In the face of the spies planted by Myriad Law Academy, who asked if they should continue to keep an eye on Duan Lingtian and let the other Myriad Law Academy teachers threatened by them attack when the girl was not by Duan Lingtian's side, Lu Tianfeng vetoed the idea. There's no need to keep an eye on him anymore. Give up. If we act rashly and alert the enemy, we won't have another chance. Lu Tianfeng was certain that from now on, as long as Duan Lingtian walked around Myriad Law Academy, the godly venerable teachers in charge of patrolling that area would definitely keep an eye on him and escort him. Under such circumstances, there was no chance of success. Chapter 4139. Lang Chunwon, Duan Lingtian's 4th senior sister, Yang Yuqin's fourth junior sister. This time, the attack on Duan Lingtian in Myriad Law Academy made Lang Chunwan famous. It was only at this moment that most people in Myriad Law Academy knew of Lang Chunwan's existence. Even those in the Legacy Division, although they had long known of the existence of Lang Chunwan in the Inner Palace and knew that she was not yet 10,000 years old, they were not too sure of her strength. However, according to past practice, there were no weaklings in the Inner Palace, so they were still mentally prepared for Lang Chunwan's talent and strength. However, even if they were mentally prepared, they still felt that Lang Chunwan, a junior who was not yet 10,000 years old, was at most a middle god emperor. In their Legacy Division, the two most outstanding people in the younger generation who were not yet 10,000 years old were the two middle god emperors. In their opinion, even if they were not considered the top battle strength of the younger generation in the Xingang land, they were not far from it. Only those giant godly venerable level forces could possibly have stronger existences. A high god emperor who was not yet 10,000 years old in the past, in their opinion, such an existence could only exist in the giant godly venerable level forces. However, today, they found out that there was such an existence in Myriad Law Academy. She was from the Inner Palace and was Yang Yuqin's junior sister. Moreover, she had always kept a low profile and had never revealed her strength. Perhaps, if Duan Lingtian had not been attacked today, she would not have revealed her strength. How laughable, to think that we thought that Duan Lingtian would become Yang Yuqin's capital after he brought Duan Lingtian back to Myriad Law Academy. If we really want to talk about capital, his fourth junior sister is his biggest capital. A high god emperor who is not yet 10,000 years old. Moreover, she specializes in the law of destruction, a law that is not weaker than the four supreme laws in terms of killing. Moreover, she has already nurtured a full soul high-grade divine weapon. What a monster! It's said that no one in the Inner Palace is mediocre. I'm convinced. I heard Duan Lingtian address Yang Yuqin as third senior brother, so there are obviously two people before Yang Yuqin. However, I've never heard of those two people, nor have I seen them appear in front of anyone. Since they are ranked before Yang Yuqin, they must be stronger, right? Since he's from the Inner Palace, it's impossible for us from the lineage of legacy to not know about him, right? I'll have to ask my master about this. I want to ask too. After witnessing the skills of Duan Lingtian and Lang Chunwan one after another, the people of the House of Legacy could not help but feel shocked when they thought of their ages. In addition, there was also Yang Yuqin in the Inner Palace. Yang Yuqin was known as the #1 genius of Myriad Arts Academy in the past 100,000 years. At the very least, in the past 100,000 years of Wanda Law Palace, there hadn't been anyone who could achieve achievements comparable to Yang Yuqin's at Yang Yuqin's age, let alone surpassing him. Whether it's Duan Lingtian or Lang Chunwan, Yang Yuqin didn't seem to be as good as them when he was their age, right? Doesn't that mean that when they reach Yang Yuqin's age, they'll be more outstanding than Yang Yuqin? In the past, we only knew that there was a Yang Yuqin in the Inner Palace, but we knew nothing about his senior brothers and senior sisters. Moreover, they seem very mysterious. Even my grandmaster didn't know about them, only that they were also ultimate god experts. Do you think it's possible that they're more outstanding than Yang Yuqin? That's not possible, right? If that's the case, then the Inner Palace is too heaven-defying, right? In the past, the lineage of Legacy's understanding of the Inner Palace was mostly based on Yang Yuqin's lack of people. Even when Yang Yuqin brought Duan Lingtian to the Inner Palace, they thought that Yang Yuqin was lucky to have snatched Duan Lingtian from the hands of the major ultimate god-level factions. It was not until Lang Chunwan's appearance that they realized that they had completely misjudged the Inner Palace. The Inner Palace was not that simple. It felt like the water was much deeper than they had imagined. There were not many people, but each and every one of them was an elite. Before Yang Yuqin, there were two very mysterious existences. They only knew that there was a first senior sister and second senior brother. As for how strong they were, even the mid-level ultimate god experts in the lineage of Legacy were not very clear. Both of them were very mysterious. Senior sister, don't tell me you want to be famous? You're really famous this time. Duan Lingtian continued to take Lang Chunwan around the Myriad Art Academy. At the same time, He glanced at the group of myriad Art Academy students who had come to join in the fun and see Lang Chunwan. He smiled and said to Lang Chunwan. Lang Chunwan's eyes lit up when she heard that. She seemed to enjoy it very much. Really? Then, am I more famous than you now, junior brother? Of course. Duan Lingtian smiled and said, Senior sister, you're a high-level Supreme God Emperor. In their eyes, I'm only a mid-level Supreme God Emperor. Even the high-grade full-soul divine weapon in my hand was nurtured by someone else. Unlike you, senior sister, who nurtured a high-grade full-soul divine weapon on your own. Duan Lingtian said. However, as soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Lang Chunwan shook her head and said, My high-grade full-soul divine weapon was not nurtured by myself. First senior sister gave it to me when I just broke through to the divine emperor realm. I heard from her that she obtained it by killing a mid-level supreme god. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Lang Chunwan's words. In fact, he had been wondering if his fourth senior sister's high-grade full-soul divine weapon was nurtured by herself, because it did not look like it. That high-grade full-soul divine weapon gave him the feeling that it was not any weaker than his 7 orifices exquisite sword. An ordinary high-level supreme god would not be able to nurture a high-grade full-soul divine weapon to such an extent. For example, when he fought against the Monorigin sect in the Hall of Life and Death 100 years ago, his teacher, Yuan Dongchun, who was on duty at that time, displayed a high-grade full-soul divine weapon that was much weaker. Also, when the deputy leader of the Monorigin sect, Lu Tianfeng, visited him, the high-grade full-soul divine weapon of his female disciple was also ordinary. She killed a mid-level supreme god? Although Duan Lingtian had already vaguely sensed that his first senior sister, whom he had never met, was very powerful, he could not help but be shocked when he heard that she had killed a mid-level supreme god. Moreover, according to his fourth senior sister, her first senior sister had given her the divine weapon when she had just broken through to the divine emperor realm. In other words, that was a very long time ago. At least a few thousand years ago. A few thousand years ago, his first senior sister could already kill a mid-level supreme god? She must be much stronger now, right? Although a few thousand years was extremely short for an ultimate god, and it was difficult for them to improve, that was only for ordinary people. His first senior sister was from the internal palace, which meant that she was not a mediocre person. Even if she was an ultimate god, she would definitely improve in a few thousand years. It was just a matter of how much she improved. Duan Lingtian had already learned from Yang Yuqin that there had never been an ultimate god or a teacher in the internal palace. Those who entered the palace first were his senior brothers and senior sisters. As for the fact that Yang Yuqin asked him to pull Yi Chunfeng into the inner palace as the fourth brother, it was only a joke. In the internal palace, the order of entry was based on the order of entry. When Yang Yuqin first entered the internal palace, his current first senior sister was not the first senior sister, but the third senior sister. It was only when the first 2 senior brothers died that the third senior sister became the first senior sister. As for Yang Yuqin, he had also become the third junior brother from the 5th junior brother in the beginning. He also became the third senior brother of those who entered the internal palace later. When the internal palace was first established, it was not like this where there was a master and disciple division. However, after a reform, it was passed down in this way. Senior brothers and senior sisters were actually no different from ultimate gods. They would do their best to help you. For example, according to Yang Yuqin, his third senior brother, the current first senior sister was not only a great help to his fourth senior sister, but also to him and his second senior brother. Of course, in the internal palace, only those who stayed in Wanfa Palace could become the leader of the internal palace. The leader position used to belong to first senior sister. However, not long after third senior brother Yang Yuqin entered the sect, eldest senior sister saw that he couldn't stay in the inner palace and kept running out to hang out with the disciples. Therefore, she passed the position of leader to him. She herself had left the inner palace. Second senior brother also left the internal palace after that. At this time, only Yang Yuqin and Lang Chunwan were left in the internal palace. Until his arrival, the internal palace was revitalized. Along the way in Wanfa Palace, Lang Chunwan, who was next to Duan Lingtian, attracted a lot of attention. In the beginning, Lang Chunwan enjoyed it very much. However, later on, she did not enjoy it and even felt annoyed. She felt like she was being stared at like a monkey. Little junior brother, let's go back. There were many times when Lang Chunwan wanted to get angry and scold the people who came to see her, but she was stopped by Duan Lingtian. Gradually, Lang Chunwan lost her patience. Okay, Duan Lingtian could also see that his fourth senior sister was now at her limit. If this continued, he was afraid he could not control her. When that time came, she would not kill anyone, but it was still possible to cripple 2 or 3 people. When Duan Lingtian brought Lang Chunwan back to the internal palace, the old man looked at the old man. In the sky, the old man glanced at the young man beside him and smiled faintly. Your little junior brother is much more authoritative than you in front of your fourth junior sister. That's not authoritative. The young man glanced at the old man. It's fourth junior sister who thinks she should act like a senior sister in front of her little junior brother. I say, did you ask me to bring her out with little junior brother so that she can kill those people who were threatened? Yes, the old man replied. No matter what, they are still teachers of the academy. They definitely didn't do it willingly. I can't bear to do it. When the old man said this, the young man shook his head and said, if you can't bear to do it, you can let someone else do it. In my opinion, you asked my fourth junior sister to do it because you want to attack the legacy branch, right? Sometimes, I even suspect, are you from the inner palace, a spy in the lineage of legacies? Chapter 4140. I really didn't expect Duan Lingtian to have such a senior sister. A few years ago, the Monorigin spirit sect's holy son, Mengyu, had completed enough missions and obtained enough credits to enter the trial grounds of God. Over the past few years, he had been waiting for Duan Lingtian to come out so that he could provoke him into a battle of life and death. However, he did not expect that Duan Lingtian would indeed come out and be attacked by the God Emperor teachers of Myriad Law Academy under threat of the Monorigin spirit sect. However, he did not survive because of the intervention of Yang Yuchen, the Vice Palace Master of Myriad Law Academy. Instead, it was his senior sister who made a move. Lang Chunwan, less than 10,000 years old, a higher God Emperor. Previously, even the teachers and students of Myriad Law Academy were unfamiliar with Lang Chunwan. Even among the legacies, very few people knew of Lang Chunwan's existence. However, this time, Lang Chunwan had displayed her strength and forcefully crushed 3 God Emperor teachers of Myriad Law Academy. This had shocked everyone in Myriad Law Academy. Only then did they know that Yang Yuchen, the Vice Palace Master of Myriad Law Academy, had such a junior sister. A higher God Emperor less than 10,000 years old. In the history of Myriad Law Academy, such an existence has only appeared a few times, right? It's said that not only is she less than 10,000 years old, but she might even be less than 6,000 years old. Less than 6,000 years old? That can't be, right? Lang Chunwan feels even more monstrous than Vice Palace Master Yang Yuchen back then. Duan Lingtian is about the same. Lang Chunwan's fame spread throughout Myriad Law Academy. The hearts of the people from the various heavyweight forces, the group of young geniuses who were originally extremely arrogant, sank like water. There's such an existence in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace? Originally, I thought that since we were middle God Emperors, we would be the strongest group of people who entered the trial grounds of God. The others would at most be evenly matched with us. But now, there's a Lang Chunwan. The Myriad Arts Academy has always been mysterious. First, there was Yang Yuchen, then there was Duan Lingtian, and now there's Lang Chunwan. Moreover, none of them are mediocre. During this trip to the Divine Trials, I only hope that I don't encounter her. Otherwise, no matter how good the opportunity is, it will probably be taken away by her. According to what I know, the Trial of Gods is extremely vast, and there are many new identities in there. It won't be easy to meet her. If you really do meet her, run. Trying to snatch the opportunity from her is simply courting death. If she didn't have a high-grade divine artifact with a complete soul, I would still be able to fight her. But now, I don't have the desire to fight her. During this trip to the trial grounds of God, The various major forces' ultimate god prodigies were complacent. They felt that there were not many people who could compare to them, and that they would be able to obtain the greatest benefits in the trial grounds of God. But now, the appearance of Lang Chunwon was like a basin of cold water splashed on their heads, completely waking them up. It turned out that there was such an existence in Myriad Law Academy. This person was no weaker than the most outstanding prodigies of the younger generation of those giant ultimate god forces. The Myriad Law Academy was in an uproar because of Lang Chunyuan. In the distant Monorigin Divine Sect, Vice Sect leader Lu Tianfeng also heard of Lang Chunwon's existence. Although he was surprised by Lang Chunwon's strength, he was more annoyed by Saint Mengyu's cowardice. Mengyu did not provoke Duan Lingtian and challenged Duan Lingtian to a life and death battle as planned. What the hell is he doing? Lu Tianfeng was a little angry. If the other party was a saint of his faction, he would have already sent a message to curse him. Even so, he still sent a message to ask, why didn't you provoke Duan Lingtian and challenge him to a life and death battle? Do you know, once he enters the trial grounds of God, he might advance further and become an emperor god. At that time, you might not be his opponent. Mengyu did not care about Lu Tianfeng's message. He was even a little annoyed by Lu Tianfeng's tone. After all, his great-grandfather was not any weaker than Lu Tianfeng. Vice Sect leader Lu, I didn't find a chance. Mengyu replied faintly and did not pay attention to Lu Tianfeng anymore. However, was this really the truth? Of course not. The reason Mengyu did not provoke Duan Lingtian was that Lang Chunwon was by Duan Lingtian's side. When he found out about Lang Chunwon's strength, he also heard some news that Lang Chunwon had appeared in front of others before. However, at that time, no one knew her identity and strength. There were a few times when a few people offended her. In the end, they either did not end well or were almost crippled. If there were only one or two of these incidents, it could be said that it was a coincidence. However, after so many times, who would believe that it was a coincidence? That Lang Chunwon is obviously a vengeful person. If I target Duan Lingtian, even if I kill Duan Lingtian, I might be killed by him when I just left Myriad Arts Academy. Although I can find someone to pick me up, if I can find someone, can't Lang Chunwon find someone? For example, she and Duan Lingtian's third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, are medium ultimate gods. Yang Yuqin is only their third senior brother. Before their third senior brother, there's still eldest senior brother, eldest senior sister, second senior brother, or second senior sister. If they're ranked before Yang Yuqin, they might be stronger than Yang Yuqin. Both of them might be higher godly venerables. If I really kill Duan Lingtian, I'm afraid I'll die. It was also because of this that Mengyu thought of retreating and did not look for Duan Lingtian again to provoke Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian had killed their Monorigin Spirit Sect's holy son, Wang Yunsheng, which was equivalent to offending Wang Yunsheng's faction and the entire Monorigin Spirit Sect. If the Monorigin Spirit Sect had the chance, they would definitely not let Duan Lingtian go. However, as long as Duan Lingtian stayed in Myriad Arts Academy and did not leave, the Monorigin Spirit Sect could not do anything to Duan Lingtian. However, it was different for him. He was now in Myriad Arts Academy's territory. Even if he could leave Myriad Arts Academy safely, he might not be able to return safely. It was unlikely that Myriad Arts Academy's higher ultimate gods would personally take action for him and travel thousands of miles to Myriad Arts Academy to escort him back. Moreover, even if they really wanted to come, there would at most be one. However, would a higher ultimate god really be able to bring him back safely? After all, Duan Lingtian still had two senior brothers and senior sisters who were very likely stronger than Yang Yuqin. One of them might even be a higher ultimate god, even if there weren't. With a few medium ultimate gods together and the Palace Master of Myriad Arts Academy's higher ultimate god, it would not be difficult to kill him. Perhaps the Palace Master of Myriad Arts Academy would not make a move openly, but it was possible for him to change his identity and make a move. There were often people from the Monorigin Spirit Sect who did such things. Even if the other party was suspicious, what could they do? Even if you record a scryer image, it's not me in it. Looks like me? Sorry, if it doesn't look like me, then it's not me. Duan Lingtian's backer is too strong. I can't afford to offend him, but I can hide. Next, I'll break through to the medium divine Emperor realm and familiarize myself with it. It won't be long before I enter the trial grounds. As the Monorigin Spirit Sect's holy son, Mengyu was not a fool. He knew he could not do it, so he stopped in time. He did not care about what others thought. Even if he had to suffer punishment from the Monorigin Spirit Sect because of this, he would accept it. It's better for me to control my own life in my own hands. The realm battlefield. Boom, boom. Two incomparably huge figures crossed the sky as though two gods had descended from the heavens. They were majestic and exuded an extremely terrifying aura. Currently, these two were chasing after a young man who was fleeing in the distance. The young man was dressed in a long green robe. He had a sturdy build and a handsome face. Facing the two chasing after him, his expression was calm and emotionless. This place should be enough. The sturdy young man looked around and saw that there was not a trace of human habitation in the surrounding area. Moreover, the spiritual energy was so thin that even if he wanted to recover temporarily, he would not choose such a place. Thinking of this, the sturdy young man stopped and turned around to face the two figures who were rapidly approaching him. Boy, hand over what you have obtained from the secret realm and we'll spare your life. The two incomparably huge figures were at least 100 meters tall. They had a domineering aura as they crossed the sky, causing the void to tremble and the space of the realm battlefield to sway. One could see how powerful they were. Both of you are medium ultimate gods. Do you think you can kill me? The sturdy young man smiled faintly. Then, with a sway of his body, he transformed into a giant that was more than 100 meters tall. His aura changed abruptly, as though he had transformed into another person. This place is the burial ground I found for both of you. You have to like it whether you like it or not. As the sturdy young man smiled faintly, his body shone with a dazzling golden light that seemed to be able to illuminate thousands of miles. His entire person seemed to have transformed into a golden scorching sun. The two giants' pupils shrank sharply as they saw the scene in front of them. Their expressions changed drastically. The power of the law illuminates thousands of miles. The power of the law illuminates thousands of miles. It was a sign that one's profundity was close to perfection. Generally, those who had mastered the power of law were upper-level ultimate gods. Even ordinary upper-level ultimate gods rarely mastered the power of law to such a level. Run. The two did not even need to communicate. In the next moment, they split up and fled, turning into two rapid streams of flowing light. Haha, since you're here, there's no need to leave. The sturdy young man laughed. Then, he clenched one hand into a fist and the other hand into a palm. He threw out a palm strike with a domineering aura and chased after the two who were fleeing madly. If First Senior Sister finds out that two ordinary medium ultimate gods can escape from me, she'll laugh at me for a long time. Chapter 41-41. The two mid-level ultimate gods fled in different directions. They did not even dare to look back. Their breaths were in a mess and their nerves were tense. They were worried that the expert with the power of law would chase after them. When they sensed the terrifying energy fluctuation coming from behind them, their expressions changed greatly. How unlucky! Was he really coming after them? Bang! An incomparably huge fist flashed through the void. As the fist landed, a terrifying power of law condensed, smashing down like a setting sun. In the next moment, a mid-level ultimate god took out his full soul high-grade divine weapon to block the attack. The light on his body was extinguished inch by inch. In just 3 breaths, the mid-level ultimate god let out a mournful cry. Can you let me know who you are before you die? A mid-level ultimate god with the power of law shining over millions of miles. Even in the realm of gods where he was from, there were only a handful of such geniuses, and each of them was famous. He even knew about the people from the plains of gods and the mystic starland. However, not a single one of those people had such an appearance. He was certain the other party was not in disguise. Therefore, he concluded that the other party was a low-key mid-level ultimate god from the Xinjiang land. Although his strength was amazing, he was not famous. Before he died, he really wanted to know who the other party was. This way, he could die with peace of mind. In the next moment, the young man's voice transmission rang in his ears. I'm Hong Yifeng from the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace's inner palace. As soon as the burly young man finished speaking, the gigantic fist that fell from the sky like a meteor instantly blew up the mid-level ultimate god in despair. The mid-level ultimate god exploded. He turned into a mist of blood and scattered in the air. Only a full soul high-grade divine weapon was left. To be precise, it was a full soul high-grade divine weapon whose soul had been annihilated along with its owner. Boom. On the other side, after killing a mid-level ultimate god with a punch, another mid-level ultimate god was also killed by the burly young man's palm. He followed in his companion's footsteps. 2 medium-level ultimate gods had fallen in the blink of an eye. Eldest senior sister and third junior brother were right. Mastering the way of control and mastering the embryonic form of the way of control are 2 completely different concepts. The difference is too big. The robust young man was precisely the second senior brother of the 10,000 Laws Palace's inner palace, Hong Yifeng. After he muttered in a low voice, his brows raised, and then he transformed into a golden ray of light that fled 5 million kilometers away. At the same time, 2 incomparably large giants that seemed to hold up the sky shone with dazzling light where he had been standing. Everyone within a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers could vaguely see them. Is that an ultimate god expert? 2 medium-level ultimate gods. Within a radius of 1,000,000 miles, everyone, whether they were in the wilderness or in the barracks, had their eyes fixed on the 2 giants in the distance. In the next instant, they heard the 2 giants let out unwilling roars. Then, with a loud crash, they fell. 2 mid-level ultimate gods have fallen? This strange phenomenon also shocked everyone who saw it. Some of the experts even started to fly towards the place where the 2 mid-level ultimate gods had fallen. Who died? 2 medium-level ultimate gods fell at the same time. Was it a high-level ultimate god? Which high-level supreme god did it? Not long after, more than a dozen people gathered at the remote place where the 2 mid-level ultimate gods had fallen. These dozen or so people had come alone. Each of them hovered in the void. Even though they did not use their powers, the void around them trembled as though it had sensed a great threat. It's not an ultimate god from the mysterious gangland. The higher-level supreme god of the Xingangland who was present grinned. I wonder who did it. It's obvious that they didn't give the other party a chance to call for help. The high-level ultimate gods from the other realms of gods who were present did not look too good. At that moment, some people even wondered who the 2 medium-level ultimate gods that had been killed were. Although the 2 of them were already dead, and not even their bodies were left behind, it was not difficult to determine who had died through the voice transmission from afar. At this moment, the high-level ultimate gods from the mysterious gangland were either laughing or trying to stifle their laughter. On the other hand, the high-level ultimate gods from the other realms of gods did not look too good. Of course, the high-level ultimate gods from the mysterious gangland were not worried that the other party would dare to make a move. Even if they were no match for the other party, it would not be difficult for them to escape with their strength. Is the mysterious gangland so unruly now? The realm of gods that intersected with the mysterious gangland to form the battlefield was called the Pilgrimage Grounds. At this moment, a high-level ultimate god from the Pilgrimage Grounds said with a gloomy expression, "Let's not talk about those below the ultimate god level for now." Above the ultimate god level? Everyone has a tacit understanding that high-level ultimate gods will not kill low-level ultimate gods unless they have a death wish. Isn't it a little too much for a high-level ultimate god from the mysterious gangland to kill 2 mid-level ultimate gods from the Pilgrimage Grounds? The high-level ultimate god of the Pilgrimage Grounds was a tall old man wearing a loose fiery red robe. As he stood there, his red robe fluttered in the wind as if it was burning. Not only that, one could feel the rolling heat waves from his body even from a distance. He was a high-level ultimate god who was skilled in the law of fire. Haha, a high-level ultimate god from the mysterious gangland laughed. Old man Zhu, it's best if you don't know what's going on. Are you so sure that the person who killed the 2 mid-level ultimate gods from the Pilgrimage Grounds is a high-level ultimate god? Use your divine consciousness to search for traces of their deaths. Can't you tell the difference between a high-level ultimate god and mid-level ultimate god's divine energy? Under normal circumstances, it was permissible to kill each other in the realm battlefield. However, since godly venerable gods were rare in any realm of gods, godly venerable gods had formed a tacit agreement with each other. High-level ultimate gods usually would not fight with low-level ultimate gods. For example, high-level ultimate gods would not attack mid-level ultimate gods, and mid-level ultimate gods would not attack low-level ultimate gods. Over the years, it had formed a tacit understanding that not many people would easily break. They knew very well how difficult it was for a person to cultivate to the level of an ultimate god. Other than a few high-level ultimate gods who were alone, most high-level ultimate gods had descendants of mid-level ultimate gods or low-level ultimate gods. Naturally, they did not want their descendants to be killed by the enemy's high-level ultimate gods. As soon as the Shingen Grounds' higher supreme god spoke, the faces of the Pilgrimage Grounds' higher supreme gods changed after they scanned the area with their divine consciousness, except for a few higher supreme gods who had already discovered something. It's a mid-level ultimate god, and it's a mid-level ultimate god who's skilled in the law of metal. Just now, this area was filled with a golden light that covered millions of miles. The law energy illuminated millions of miles, but it's not a high-level ultimate god? Is there a mid-level ultimate god in the mysterious gangland who's skilled in the law of metal that can illuminate millions of miles? I know of a few mid-level ultimate gods in the mysterious gangland who can illuminate millions of miles, but none of them are skilled in the law of metal. Is it a mid-level ultimate god from the mysterious gangland? While the group of high-level supreme gods in the Pilgrimage Grounds were discussing this matter, the group of high-level supreme gods in the mysterious gang grounds had also noticed this problem. A mid-level ultimate god who's able to illuminate millions of miles with the law of metal. Do you know who it is? I don't know. I've never heard of such a person in the mysterious gangland. Haha. I didn't expect such a powerful mid-level ultimate god to be hidden in the mysterious gangland. I wonder when he'll enter the level of a high-level ultimate god. With his attainments in the law, his combat strength will be able to crush any ordinary high-level ultimate god once he enters the level of a high-level ultimate god. No matter what, this is a good thing for the mysterious gangland. The group of high-level ultimate gods came to join in the fun and left one after another. No one wanted to fight as it would be a crisis for any of them if a fight broke out under such circumstances. Anyone who was unlucky enough to be killed by a few high-level ultimate gods would be in danger of dying. Under such circumstances, it was better to keep a low profile. However, as the group of high-level ultimate gods left, the news of a mid-level ultimate god in the mysterious gangland who had mastered the law of metal to the point of illuminating millions of miles began to spread in the planar battlefield. As for the person involved, Hong Yifeng, no one knew where he had gone. The mysterious gangland. The Myriad Arts Academy. The Inner Palace. Fourth senior sister Lang Chunwan, who had gone out with Duan Lingtian this time, was no longer looking forward to going out like before. She even wanted to never go out again. This was because she was tired of being stared at. Little junior brother, aren't you annoyed? What are those people looking at? Are they looking at monkeys? Lang Chunwan looked at Duan Lingtian with some resentment. If it were up to me, I'd scare them so they wouldn't dare to follow us and watch us. When Duan Lingtian heard this, he smiled bitterly and helplessly. Fourth senior sister, didn't you say you wanted to be famous like me? Now that you're famous, they've all come to see what you look like and recognize you. Why are you unhappy? Now, Duan Lingtian finally knew why his third senior brother, Yang Yuchun, said this fourth senior sister was difficult to serve. Women were fickle. However, this was the first time he had seen one so fickle. In any case, I don't like them following me and staring at me, Lang Chunwan said grumpily. Then, she said in a lecturing tone, little junior brother, there's nothing interesting outside. You should stay with me and cultivate well. You can go out when the trial of God opens. I don't want to go out. If you go out alone, there might be some blind people who will attack you. Myriad Arts Academy's broken rules are unreliable. Chapter 41-42. The Myriad Law Academy was as peaceful as ever. For ordinary students, Although they knew about the existence of the trial grounds, they also knew that it had nothing to do with them. It was a stage for the most outstanding young generation of the Myriad Arts Academy and the Xingangland's major ultimate gods forces. Moreover, it was said that the Myriad Law Academy did not have many places left. Of course, some of the places in the Myriad Law Academy could be fought for, except for the students from the heavyweight ultimate god forces. However, there were only so many places. Without enough strength, it was impossible to fight for them. As for the 80 places for the heavyweight ultimate god forces, it was up to them to divide them. In recent decades, the outstanding geniuses of the heavyweight ultimate god forces had arrived one after another. Basically, those who came later had accumulated enough points. Those who came later had basically entered the Emperor God realm. Even the Inai Changfeng Pavilion, which only recruited female disciples, had a few young Emperor gods. One of them was even Duan Lingtian's old acquaintance, Tuoba Xiao. She was a disciple of the Yuan clan of the former 7 prefectures. She was also the strongest female cultivator in the 7 prefectures banquet that Duan Lingtian had participated in and won first place. Although she did not make it into the top 3, no one underestimated her strength. Moreover, it was said that she was much younger than those who ranked ahead of her, except for Duan Lingtian. After the 7-mansion feast, Tuoba Xiao was taken away by people from the Neon Phoenix Pavilion, a heavyweight ultimate god sect in the Xingangland, before she could return to the Yuan clan in the Netherworld Mansion. At that time, Tuoba Xiao was facing a certain crisis. A group of emperor gods had gathered to kill her. Although she had many emperor gods protecting her, she was still in danger. At the critical moment, a high-level emperor god from the Inai Changfeng Pavilion came and took her away. After Tuoba Xiao went to the Inai Changfeng Pavilion, she became a disciple of an ultimate god. Although the ultimate god's cultivation level was ordinary, and she was only a newly promoted mid-level ultimate god, her position in the Inai Changfeng Pavilion was extremely high. That was because her master was a high-level supreme god of the Inai Chang Phoenix Pavilion. As soon as Tuoba Xiao entered the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion, she already had a high-level supreme god as her grandmaster. Because of this, she was treated very well even though she had just entered the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for her to become a celestial emperor in just 100 years. Now, Tuoba Xiao was already a lower god emperor. At the same time, she had also come to Myriad Law Palace and had accumulated enough academic credits. She was qualified to enter the trial grounds of God. Of course, whether they could enter the trial grounds in the end would depend on the competition with other heavenly prodigies from other godly venerable level factions. Junior sister Xiao, you and that Duan Lingtian both came from the 7 prefectures and participated in the 7 prefectures feast together. Are you familiar with him? Recently, Tuoba Xiao had come to Myriad Law Academy with 3 other disciples of the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion. They were the most outstanding of the younger generation of the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion. 2 middle god emperors and 1 lower god emperor. Right now, the person who had come to Tuoba Xiao's residence and was chatting with Tuoba Xiao was one of Tuoba Xiao's disciples, a mid-god emperor. Senior sister, I am not familiar with him. Tuoba Xiao gently shook her head. Her eyes were filled with indescribable emotions. Originally, she thought that with the extraordinary treatment she received in the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion, she would be able to catch up with him or even surpass him. She did not expect that in the end, she would still be inferior to him. Although he had not entered the Divine Emperor realm and was not even a middle god emperor, he had once killed the Monorigin Divine Sect's holy son, Wang Yunsheng, and 4 other young prodigies of the Monorigin Divine Sect. As a middle god emperor, his strength was not weaker than most lower god emperors. Moreover, that was a matter of 100 years ago. Now, his cultivation had most likely already stepped into the realm of upper god emperor. His strength was definitely even stronger. I heard that he is only slightly over 800 years old, not even 900 years old. The Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion disciple who was talking to Tuoba Xiao was a young lady. She had a graceful figure and a pretty face. When she mentioned Duan Lingtian, her eyes shone with curiosity. Ever since she was born, she had grown up in the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion. Although she had gone out to train and met some men, she felt that those men were not even comparable to her. She did not even feel that she was inferior to the male prodigies of the major ultimate gods' forces. There was almost no one who could convince her. As for the major ultimate gods' forces, there were many young prodigies who were around the same age as her and stronger than her. However, she was not convinced by them. She felt that they were stronger than her because they had enjoyed better resources since they were young. However, Duan Lingtian from the Myriad Art Academy was different. Duan Lingtian had a humble background. He had walked out of the mundane realm and relied on himself all the way. He was not even 1,000 years old, yet he was able to achieve what he had today. It could be said that he was extremely monstrous. In her opinion, only such a man was worthy of her. She was moved by a man for the first time. Even though she had not seen him in person, she had only seen him through the floating image pearl. The information from the pavilion should not be wrong, Tuobashio said. At the same time, her gaze became more and more complicated. She had thought that Duan Lingtian was less than 3,000 years old, but she did not expect that he was less than 1,000 years old. Junior sister Xiao. The girl who was chatting with Tuoba Xiao was the #1 young prodigy of the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion, Zhang Tianjiao. She smiled and asked Tuoba Xiao, Duan Lingtian is so outstanding. Are you moved by him? If you are moved by him, I will not fight with you. Hearing Zhang Tianjiao's words, Tuoba Xiao's heart shook imperceptibly. She then shook her head and said, Senior sister, what are you saying? I have only seen him a few times. How can I be moved by him? Thinking of the information collected by the pavilion about Duan Lingtian in the lower secondary realm, Tuoba Xiao sighed. It turned out that he already had a family. He had a son and a daughter and 2 wives, Junior sister Xiao. If you are not interested in him, then I will take him. Zhang Tianjiao smiled again. Her smile was even more brilliant, as if Duan Lingtian was already in her bag. Senior sister. Tuoba Xiao smiled bitterly and said, Didn't you read all the information collected by the pavilion? He already has a family in the lower secondary realm. He has 2 wives and many close female friends. Moreover, his 2 wives have already given birth to children for him. Tuoba Xiao thought that her senior sister did not know about Duan Lingtian's situation. Who would have thought that Zhang Tianjiao did not care at all when she heard Tuoba Xiao's words? I have read all the information about him, including the fact that he has a family. But so what? I, Zhang Tianjiao, am not an ordinary woman. Ordinary women only have a short lifespan of a few decades. It is normal for them to be jealous in such a short lifespan. But for cultivators like us, as long as we continue to be strong, our lifespan can be as short as tens of thousands of years. So what if he has a few more women? Even if a weak man only loves me, Zhang Tianjiao, I will still disdain him. Zhang Tianjiao's words didn't conceal the slightest bit of her tolerance of Duan Lingtian already having a family. Tuoba Xiao was stunned when she heard this. Her heart was in turmoil. She felt that her senior sister's words made sense. Even if a weak man only loved her, she might not take a liking to him. Up until now, the only man who could arouse her feelings of adoration was Duan Lingtian alone. Senior sister, if that's the case, why are you still considering me? Tuoba Xiao asked. Earlier, her senior sister had told her that if she was interested in Duan Lingtian, she would not fight with her for Duan Lingtian. When Zhang Tianjiao heard this, she smiled nonchalantly and said, I'm just worried that you won't be willing to share a husband with me, Junior sister Xiao. If you don't mind, I have no objections. Senior sister. Tuoba Xiao was a little speechless and a little helpless. Why didn't she see that her senior sister, who was usually like an ice beauty outside, had such a side to her? Hee. Junior sister Xiao, I'm serious. Don't miss out on such a good man. Zhang Tianjiao chuckled. Days passed by. The number of people who would head to the trials of God was also slowly decided. There were a total of 100 slots to enter the trial of God. 10 of them were from the 10,000 Arts Academy. 8 of them were from the Legacy Progeny, and 2 were from the Internal Palace Progeny. Under normal circumstances, the Legacy Progeny would have 9 slots, and the Internal Palace Progeny would have 1 slot. However, when the Trial of God opened 10,000 years ago, the Internal Palace Progeny did not occupy any slots, and the Legacy Progeny took away 10 slots. This time, they were merely returning the slots that they had taken away previously. Naturally, Even if no one from the internal palace progeny entered the trial of God for 2 consecutive 10,000 years, they would not be able to accumulate 3 slots. At most, they would be able to accumulate 2 slots. The legacy progeny did not have any objections to this. As for the remaining 10 slots of the 10,000 Arts Academy, they would be fought for by all the prodigies under the age of 10,000. Even those from the legacy progeny who did not obtain a slot could fight for these 10 slots. Of course, prodigies from the legacy progeny who were above the Emperor God level were not allowed to fight for these 10 slots, unless all the internal slots were occupied by Emperor God level prodigies. Once the 10,000 Arts Academy's 20 slots were decided, the other heavyweight ultimate god forces also decided on the other 80 slots through their own methods. Some heavyweight ultimate god forces obtained 7 or 8 slots, while others only obtained 3 or 4 slots. Of course, any heavyweight ultimate god level force would have at least 3 quotas. The 3 spots were fixed. There was no need to compete. If not, how could those heavyweight ultimate god forces who did not have any outstanding prodigies among the younger generation be willing to accept this? On the day before the opening of the divine trial grounds, a loud and clear voice spread throughout the entire Myriad Arts Academy in a timely manner. At noon tomorrow, all those who have obtained a slot to enter the trial of God are to gather at the central square. Chapter 41-43. Duan Lingtian was in the independent dimension of the inner palace branch, so he naturally couldn't hear the voice that had spread throughout Myriad Arts Academy. However, when Yang Yuqin returned to the inner palace branch and personally told him about this matter, he found out about the gathering tomorrow. Third senior brother, we're going in directly tomorrow? Yes. Yang Yuqin nodded and smiled. Tomorrow is the day the trial of God opens. When he finished speaking, the smile on his face gradually disappeared and became somewhat solemn. Little junior brother, after entering the trial of God, don't trust anyone. Even if you meet someone who says she's your 4th senior sister, don't believe her before she's completely confirmed. Also, in the trial of gods, once you die, you'll truly die, even if your identity and face in there isn't your own. Inside, opportunities are important, but the most important thing is still your life. The trial of God will last for 3 years. During these 3 years, there's no need to cultivate and improve. What you need to do is to travel everywhere and look for opportunities. If you meet anyone who blocks your way, don't hold back. Just kill them. Among them, most of them aren't the people who are participating in the divine trial with you. They are all illusions created by the strongest. You can't tell that they are illusions. Of course, they might not be humans but other races. In short, when you're inside, be careful. Now, Yang Yuqin could be said to be earnestly and patiently explaining all this to Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian heard Yang Yuqin's words, he couldn't help but feel a little shaken. At the same time, he faintly realized that when Yang Yuqin told him last time about entering the trial of God, it might not be his own words. At the same time, he also realized that there should be many humans and other life forms in the trial of God. However, apart from the people who were entering the trial of God with him this time, the other humans and life forms were all illusions created by ultimate powerhouses. Furthermore, from what his senior brother said, it was impossible to tell whether those people were fake or not. In other words, I have to be careful of anyone I meet in there. The people I met could have been people who participated in the divine trial with me, or they could have been people created by the strongest. Thinking up to this point, Duan Lingtian looked at Yang Yuqin and asked, "Third senior brother, the last time I went out with 4th senior sister, I heard people talking about the trial of God. They said that even if you kill inside, you can obtain a corresponding reward?"
Yes.
Yang Yuqin nodded. In the divine trials, there are more people created by supreme experts. Once you're inside, you'll be rewarded for killing people. That's a reward given by an utmost powerful being. Furthermore, when the utmost powerful beings give out rewards, there will be a heaven and earth phenomenon. At this point, Yang Yuqin paused for a moment before continuing. It's not just you who are participating in the trial of God who are rewarded for killing. Even those who are participating in the trial of God will be rewarded for killing. Also, to the people in the trials of God, they are not created by others. They feel that they have a complete body and soul. They feel that they are born in that world. As Yang Yuqin continued to speak, Duan Lingtian could not help but feel shocked. At the same time, he became even more curious about what kind of place the trial of God was. There are only 3 years. After 3 years, as long as you're still alive, you'll be forcefully sent out by the supreme experts. Yang Yuqin continued. At this moment, Duan Lingtian suddenly thought of something. Third senior brother, what you said. You should tell fourth senior sister and I, right? Only now did he remember that fourth senior sister would be entering with them. However, his third senior brother had told him so much, but his fourth senior sister was not present. She understands the trial of God better than you. Yang Yuqin shook his head and said, when that girl first arrived, she was filled with curiosity about everything. That time, when she heard me mention the trial of God to eldest senior sister, she pestered eldest senior sister to tell her about the trial of God. It was not difficult for Duan Lingtian to notice that every time his third senior brother mentioned eldest senior sister, there would be a flash of sincere respect in the depths of his third senior brother's eyes. This made him even more curious. What kind of person was the first senior sister? It's also because you didn't ask that girl about the trial of God. Moreover, she definitely thought that I told you. Otherwise, she wouldn't have pestered you and talked to you for 3 days and 3 nights. Yang Yuqin said somewhat helplessly, in my opinion, there's actually not much to say about the trial of God, because the scene inside is not the same every time. It's constantly changing. There are many things that are actually not very useful even if you tell them. Moreover, the people who enter can be directly affected by the things they learn. If you encounter something similar, the last time, you could choose one of the 2 choices and survive. However, this time, it's not necessarily the case. You might choose the same choice again and die. Duan Lingtian listened to every word Yang Yuqin said seriously. At the same time, he became even more vigilant. The trial of God was no different from a scourge. In there, he could only trust himself and rely on himself. The others could not be relied on. Perhaps the others approached him to kill him and obtain the rewards of the rules of that world. That was right. The rewards of the rules. The world where the trial of God was located was jointly created by a few strongest people. Everything in there was also prepared by them. There were rewards for killing in there. This was also one of the rules they had set for that world. This sounds somewhat similar to the games I played on Earth in my previous life. They all used a new identity to explore the new world. However, in the games, if you die, you can either revive or not. Even if you can't revive, it won't affect you at all. In this trial of God, once you die in there, you're really dead. 3 years. In such a short time, can I really improve so much? Duan Lingtian's own extravagant wish was to consolidate his cultivation as a high-level divine emperor in the trial of God and break through to the emperor God realm. In this regard, his third senior brother Yang Yuqin also said that as long as he was not particularly unlucky, it would not be difficult. Third senior brother has been to the trial of God before. His words are definitely not baseless. I only hope that I can really enter the Emperor God realm in 3 years. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Now, there was not much time left for him. Originally, he still had more than 200 years. Now that he had stayed in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace for 100 years, there was less than 100 years left for him. Although Kerr might be trapped in the dimensional battlefield now, and might not return to the world of divine remains even after 1,000 years. I can't take the risk. Once Kerr returns to the world of divine remains in time, it would be a joke if I slacked off and did not have enough strength. Moreover, even if Kerr doesn't return to the world of divine remains by then, she'll definitely be in trouble in the dimensional battlefield. She might even be in danger of dying. Normally, once the 1,000-year period is up, the planar battlefield will close. Anyone who's still alive in the planar battlefield will be forcibly sent out of the planar battlefield and return to their respective realms of gods. At that time, Kerr will also be forcibly sent back to the world of divine remains. When Duan Lingtian thought about this, he could not help but feel slightly depressed. He still had more than 100 years left. He was only a high-level divine emperor now. If there was no shortcut, How could he enter the Emperor God stage and attain a higher cultivation base? When it was close to noon, Duan Lingtian, his fourth senior sister, Lang Chunwan, and the others left the independent realm where the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace was located. They made their way to the central square of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. They had been to the central square the last time they came out of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. It was also at that time that Lang Chunwan began to dislike being the center of attention. This was because there were too many people paying attention to her. Little junior brother, after we enter the trial of gods, we'll send a voice transmission to everyone we meet. We'll leave behind a secret signal. When the time comes, we'll know it's you and you'll know it's me. Duan Lingtian was taken aback when he heard Lang Chunwan's words. Then, he felt it made sense. However, he felt it was unrealistic. Fourth senior sister, although it's useful to do that, you can't just send a voice transmission to each person you meet, right? Could it be that every time he met someone, he would have to send a voice transmission to him saying, "The heavenly king covers the earth tiger"? How strange would that be? Moreover, they did not know how many people there were in the trial of God. According to his third senior brother, Yang Yuchun, if they entered the trial of God, they might not necessarily become humans. Instead, they might become other life forms in the trial of God. It could be a demon beast, or a plant, or even a rock. In the trial of gods, there were all kinds of life forms, all-encompassing. Of course, most of them were humans. That's true. Then, little junior brother, what do you think we should do? Lang Chunwan asked Duan Lingtian. Although she was asking Duan Lingtian, she continued without waiting for Duan Lingtian to reply. Why don't one of us wear something? The other person will see that thing and send a voice transmission to the person wearing it. That will match the secret signal? There's something and the secret signal matches. It can't be wrong. Lang Chunwan's eyes lit up after she finished speaking. She looked as if she was the smartest person in the world. Duan Lingtian shook his head mercilessly. Although it's possible, if you and I go in, won't we be humans? If we're demon beasts or plant life forms, do we have to wear that thing too? Isn't that a little strange? It's not strange. Lang Chunwan smiled. Who said that demon beasts and plant life forms can't wear human things? I like to hang my spoils of war for everyone to see. Can't I? Duan Lingtian felt slightly speechless when he heard this. It seemed that it made sense. Chapter 41-44 Myriad Law Academy Central Square. It wasn't even noon yet, but a large crowd had already gathered here. They were all students of Myriad Law Academy. Of course, only 100 people had won a spot to enter the trial grounds. Most of them were here to watch the excitement. 100 people who had won a spot to enter the trial grounds were about to gather and enter. Such a grand occasion had only happened once in 10,000 years in the history of Myriad Law Academy. I won't have a chance in this lifetime. The next time the trial grounds open, I'll be over 10,000 years old. A student of Myriad Law Academy who was only 3,000 years old and hadn't even broken through to the lesser God Emperor realm side. Born at the wrong time, born at the wrong time. In the future, when I have a son, I'll definitely be born at the same time as the trial grounds open so that my son will have a chance to enter the trial grounds. In fact, many students of Myriad Law Academy had the same idea. There was no lack of geniuses in Myriad Law Academy, and geniuses were generally full of confidence in themselves. Although they hadn't won a spot to enter the trial grounds this time, they didn't feel that their talent wasn't enough. They only felt that they hadn't arrived at the right time. Of course, most of these people were relatively young. The nearly 10,000 years old students of Myriad Law Academy were quiet and low-key at this time. They had no choice but to keep a low profile. If they were born a few thousand years earlier, they could also complain, but the problem was that they were at the right age. Most of the 100 people who had won a spot to enter the trial grounds were younger than them. The Monorigin sect's holy son, Morong Haitang, and Meng Yu are here. A group of 5 people came from afar, attracting the attention of many students in the blink of an eye. Hu Lanqi is actually very powerful. However, he's overshadowed by these two. That's natural. Didn't you see Hu Lanqi, who usually walks with 2 followers, also become followers now? Haha, Now that you mention it, I suddenly realize that Hu Lanqi is following Murong Haitang and Mingyu. And behind Hu Lanqi are two tails. The 5 from the Mon-Origin sect arrived. 2 youths walked in front, followed by another youth. It was the Mon-Origin sect's disciple, Hu Lanqi. Behind Hu Lanqi were 2 other disciples of the monarch spirit cult. I heard that before Murong Haitang came to our 10,000 Law Palace, she had already stepped into the middle-level God Emperor realm, and Mengyu is also about to break through. Your news is outdated. Mengyu has already successfully stepped into the middle God Emperor realm. Mengyu also broke through? The group of 5 from the monarch spirit cult had all won a spot to enter the trial grounds. In fact, in terms of strength alone, among the 5 of them, only the 2 holy sons, Hu Lanqi, and the other 2 would be able to secure a spot. The other 2 were a little uncertain. However, with the help of Murong Haitang, the holy son of the Mon-Origin divine sect, the 2 of them managed to obtain a spot. This time, 5 people from the monarch spirit sect would enter the trial grounds. The Mon-Origin divine sect occupied 5 out of the 80 spots available to the heavyweight ultimate god forces. It was not a lot, but it was definitely not a small number either. If not for the death of Wang Yunsheng, the Mon-Origin god cult's holy son, the Mon-Origin god cult would definitely have one more slot. Many people sighed. Speaking of Wang Yunsheng, do you think Duan Lingtian will enter the trial grounds this time? Duan Lingtian was also the person who had killed Wang Yunsheng, the holy son of the Mon-Origin divine sect. Even though he had been in seclusion for the past 100 years and lived in seclusion, no one had forgotten about him. Definitely. Many people thought so. I think so too. Although Duan Lingtian doesn't seem to be participating in the competition for a spot, as the junior brother of Vice Palace Master Yang, and with his monstrous strength and talent, he definitely has a spot. Even if we know about this kind of secret spot, we can't say anything about it. We're even convinced. I heard. Duan Lingtian's senior sister isn't even 10,000 years old yet. She's even stronger than Duan Lingtian. She's a higher divine emperor. If she also enters the trial grounds, I'm afraid she'll be the strongest person to enter this time. When the people from the Mon-Origin divine sect arrived, many people thought of the former holy son of the Mon-Origin divine sect, Wang Yunsheng, and then of Duan Lingtian. Then, they thought of Lang Chunwan. The people from the Crimson Brightness Heavenly Palace are here too. That's the prodigy of the Nine Mamas Valley. It's the people from the Hanlin Divine Mansion. As the 5 people from the Mon-Origin divine sect entered, more and more people from the heavyweight godly venerable level forces entered the trial grounds. Moreover, the prodigies of each force received a lot of attention. The prodigies of the heavyweight godly venerable level forces entered the trial grounds one after another. Most of the 10,000 Arts Academy students' attention was on the top prodigies from the major godly venerable rank forces. Most of these prodigies were not weaker than the Mon-Origin divine sect's holy sons, Murong Haitang and Meng Yu. The people from the legacy are here. Soon, as one of them cried out in surprise, everyone's attention was immediately diverted to him. They saw the group of 8 people flying over from afar. They were the people from the legacy who had obtained a spot to enter the trial grounds this time. 3 of them were leading the group. The 3 people at the front of the group were a middle-aged man and 2 young men. At this moment, one of the young men faced the attention of the crowd with a calm and casual expression. Everyone, I'm sure you've heard of Lang Chunwan from the Inner Palace, right? She's not even 10,000 years old, but she's already in the upper divine emperor realm. She's nurtured a high-grade divine artifact with a complete soul. Her mastery of the law of destruction is also extremely shocking. I heard from my teacher that she's even younger than I am. As the young man spoke, although his expression was still calm, there was a complicated look in the depths of his eyes. Everyone has their own path and opportunities. There's nothing to compare, another young man said indifferently. Another young man said calmly, moreover, let's not talk about anything else. Just the fact that his inner palace has a relic of an ultimate powerhouse that completely belongs to him. That's not something we can compare to. Therefore, I don't think I'm worse than her. It's just that my conditions are not as good as hers. The young man's tone was somewhat arrogant. Actually, you can't say that. The only middle-aged man among the three shook his head lightly. She's not worse than us. That's for sure. If she's worse, the inner palace wouldn't have accepted her. There are only a few people from the inner palace in every generation. From what I know, the number of people from the inner palace has never exceeded 10 in the history of the inner palace. Moreover, without exception, they're all people from the lower planes. You said you're not as good as her, but you're talking about the ultimate expert relic that only belongs to the inner palace. What about other things? You have more resources than her in every other aspect. The three people leading the group from the legacy were the most outstanding young prodigies of the current generation of the legacy. They were all intermediate god emperors and were not even 10,000 years old. The Myriad Laws Academy's lineage of inheritance was not inferior to any of the major god-venerable level sects and clans. In fact, many people regarded it as a sect within the Myriad Law Academy. The people from the legacy of legacy are here, and the people from the student faction are almost all here. Why isn't Duan Lingtian here yet? Could it be that he's not coming? As the people from the major forces arrived one after another, the people from the legacy of legacy were also present. Most of the onlookers began to pay attention to Duan Lingtian again. As for Lang Chunwan, although there were people paying attention to her as well, they did not pay as much attention to her as Duan Lingtian. After all, compared to Duan Lingtian's actions in the Hall of Life and Death, there was a process that left a deep impression. Lang Chunwan killing 3 Myriad Law Academy teachers was very sudden, and no one was prepared for it. In fact, not many people even saw the process clearly. They're here. After about a dozen breaths of time, when noon was about to arrive, a cry of surprise suppressed the surrounding noise. In the next instant, as everyone's eyes swept over, the originally noisy central square suddenly fell into a dead silence. Even the god emperors and prodigies present at the scene fell silent at this moment. Everyone's eyes were focused on the two people who were flying in the sky from afar. One was a handsome young man in purple, and the other was a pretty girl who looked only 15 or 16 years old. The duo looked more like a pair of brother and sister. If one did not know the relationship between the two, few people would have imagined that they were actually a pair of senior and junior brother. The girl who looked like a younger sister was actually the young man's senior sister. Little junior brother? Is there something on our faces? Are these people all right in the head? Why do they keep staring at us? Lang Chunwan asked with a frown. Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled. Fourth senior sister, in my opinion, it's because of your previous actions that they're so interested in you. Not many people were present that day, and not many people came to see you. Now that so many people have come, perhaps half of them are here to see you. Duan Lingtian was, naturally, teasing his fourth senior sister. However, he did not expect his fourth senior sister would actually take it seriously. I see. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have killed them. I should have stopped them and stalled them for a while before letting the patrolling teachers kill them. Seeing the serious look on his fourth senior sister Lang Chunwan's face, Duan Lingtian felt a wave of helplessness in his heart. Now, it could be said that the arrival of Duan Lingtian and Lang Chunwan had overshadowed all the other prodigies. Among the two of them, one was a middle-level god emperor who was not weaker than a lower-level god emperor 100 years ago. She might have already become a high-level god emperor by now. The other was a high-level god emperor who had killed 3 middle-level god emperors like killing chickens. He's here too. Soon, Duan Lingtian saw a familiar figure in the crowd. He could not help but smile and nod at the other party. At this moment, the other party was also smiling brightly. Tan Fei, you know Duan Lingtian? Beside Tan Fei, a young student looked surprised. You weren't bragging earlier? Tan Fei was the student who stayed in the dormitory next to Duan Lingtian's dormitory 603. Chapter 41-45. Of course, Tan Fei was only here to join in the fun. Although he had participated in the competition for a spot to enter the trial of God, he did not get a spot. Little junior brother. While Duan Lingtian's attention was still on Tan Fei, he heard his fourth senior sister, Lang Chunwan's voice. There are 2 women over there who are staring at you, especially one of the 2 in the middle. Her eyes seemed to be glowing. Hearing Lang Chunwan's words, Duan Lingtian came back to his senses. He immediately followed her gaze and saw a group of people flying over from afar. There were 6 people in the group, all women. 4 of them were in the lead while the other 2 followed behind them. However, when he glanced over, he could not help but be stunned when he saw the person on the left. Tuoba Xiao? That was right. Duan Lingtian recognized her. The woman in front of him was Tuoba Xiao. He had seen her in the 7 prefectures before. She was the most outstanding female genius in the 7 prefectures banquet. She was also recognized as the most outstanding female genius among the younger generation in the 7 prefectures. Later on, before he came to the Myriad Law Academy, he heard that Tuoba Xiao had been recruited by the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion, a heavyweight ultimate god sect that was on par with the Myriad Law Academy. It seems that the other 5 are also from the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Just as Duan Lingtian was thinking about this, he arrived at the center of the central square and got closer to the crowd. He heard many people talking about Tuoba Xiao and the other 4. It's the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion. The Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion has 6 people who got a spot this time. They are 2 intermediate god emperors, 2 lower god emperors, and 2 upper god emperors. Speaking of which, one of the 6 is an old acquaintance of Duan Lingtian. What do you mean? I'm afraid you guys don't know this. Among the 4 god emperors who came to the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion recently, one of them came from the 7 prefectures, just like Duan Lingtian. She also participated in the 7 prefectures banquet, but she didn't make it into the top 3. Those who aren't in the top 3 can enter the Chang Phoenix Pavilion. Don't underestimate the geniuses of the 7 prefectures. Moreover, what kind of resources can a place like the 7 prefectures have? Let's not talk about anything else. Let's talk about this female genius from the 7 prefectures. After entering the Neon Phoenix Pavilion, she stepped into the lower God Emperor realm in just over 100 years. Do you think she's mediocre? Lower Divine Lord? In that case, he stepped into the God Emperor realm earlier than Duan Lingtian. This isn't strange. After all, when Duan Lingtian participated in the 7 prefectures banquet, he was only a middle divine emperor, and she was already a high divine emperor. I feel that it's meaningless to talk about cultivation. If you want to talk about something, you should talk about strength. Don't tell me all of you think Duan Lingtian is weaker than Tuoba Xiao? That's true. When Duan Lingtian heard their conversation, he was slightly surprised. Tuoba Xiao had stepped into the God Emperor realm? That was fast. She was very efficient. It seemed like she had made the right choice to enter the Chang Phoenix Pavilion. She had stepped into the God Emperor realm so quickly and had become one of the most outstanding young geniuses of the Chang Phoenix Pavilion. After a while, the 6 people from the Chang Phoenix Pavilion arrived at the center of the central square. They were much closer to Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian saw Tuoba Xiao was about to greet Duan Lingtian, he smiled and said, "Miss Xiao, I didn't expect to meet you again in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. It's only been 100 years since we last met, and you've already stepped into the God Emperor realm. Congratulations." Duan Lingtian smiled and congratulated her. Thank you. When Tuoba Xiao saw that Duan Lingtian was the first to speak, she no longer hesitated. She forced a smile and said, "After all these years, you should have stepped into the upper divine emperor realm, right?" When Tuoba Xiao asked this question, everyone's attention was focused on Duan Lingtian. That's right. Duan Lingtian was only a middle divine emperor 100 years ago. Now, 100 years had passed. He should have stepped into the upper divine emperor realm, right? Moreover, when Duan Lingtian was a middle divine emperor, he was as strong as most of the lower divine emperors. Once he stepped into the upper divine emperor realm, it would be difficult to find a lower divine emperor realm opponent. Even if he was a middle divine emperor, he would be able to compete with him. Faced with Tuoba Xiao's question, Duan Lingtian smiled and said, "I was lucky to have a breakthrough a while ago, but I can't compare to Miss Xiao's breakthrough." This time, before Tuoba Xiao could speak, the woman beside her smiled and said, "Duan Lingtian, you don't have to be so humble. Now that you've stepped into the upper divine emperor realm, you should be able to defeat a middle divine emperor realm expert, right?" Duan Lingtian looked at the woman in front of him and was stunned. "Do I know her?" Why does she seem to be very familiar with me? At this moment, Tuoba Shio saw that Duan Lingtian was stunned. So she introduced, Duan Lingtian, this is my senior sister, Zhang Tianjiao. Zhang Tianjiao. Duan Lingtian didn't react to Tuoba Shio's introduction, but the group of 10,000 Arts Academy disciples was in an uproar. She's Zhang Tianjiao? Zhang Tianjiao, the #1 genius of the younger generation in the Chang Phoenix Pavilion. She was once a lower divine emperor, but she killed a upper divine emperor? Someone said that once Zhang Tianjiao steps into the upper divine emperor realm, she might be able to kill an ordinary lower divine emperor. Some time ago, I heard that the 7 prefectures had produced a high god emperor capable of killing a godly venerable. If the people of the 7 prefectures can do it, then the #1 genius of the Rainbow Phoenix Pavilion should be able to do it as well. This time, even Duan Lingtian was shocked. She was once a lower divine emperor and killed a upper divine emperor? It wasn't easy to kill an enemy who was 2 upper divine emperors. Even if it was a weak upper divine emperor, it wouldn't be easy. Of course, he was confident. However, he was confident because he had a lot of things to rely on. For a moment, Duan Lingtian looked at Zhang Tianjiao differently. Senior sister Zhang, it's an honor to meet you. However, in the face of Duan Lingtian's far-fetched words, Zhang Tianjiao laughed. I think you haven't even heard of my name before, right? Isn't it a little hypocritical to say that I've heard of your name before? Faced with Zhang Tianjiao's straightforward words, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but feel a little awkward. He didn't expect the genius of the Chang Phoenix Pavilion to directly expose him. Generally speaking, people would know that it was just a polite greeting. Moreover, it was a compliment. However, the genius of the Chang Phoenix Pavilion didn't play by the rules and had caught Duan Lingtian off guard. In the end, it was Tuoba Shio who spoke up to resolve the awkwardness. Senior sister, how do you know that Duan Lingtian hasn't heard of you before? In the entire mysterious gangland, there are many people who know of you. Tuoba Shio wasn't lying. This was because Zhang Tianjiao's reputation was not small. As the #1 genius of the younger generation of the Chang Phoenix Pavilion, Zhang Tianjiao's cultivation level was only at the lower god emperor realm. When the news of her killing a upper god emperor spread, it caused quite a stir in the mysterious gangland. Of course, those who knew about this were basically people from Godly Venerable's forces. Some people from Godly Venerable's forces had also heard of this matter, but they didn't pay much attention to it. After all, they were at a different level, so there wasn't much point in paying attention to it. This also caused Duan Lingtian, who had just arrived at the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace and rarely interacted with others, to not know of Zhang Tianjiao's existence. Is everyone here? As soon as Tuoba Shio finished speaking, a loud voice came from afar. It was getting closer and closer. After a while, a person wearing a loose robe that resembled a Taoist robe flew over. This was an old man with white hair and a youthful complexion. He had a kind face and a pair of bright eyes. As soon as he arrived, many students of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace immediately bowed to him. Vice Palace Master Yun. Vice Palace Master Yun. Vice Palace Master Yun. Hearing how everyone addressed him, Duan Lingtian guessed who this person was. He was one of the 4 Vice Palace Masters of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. There were a total of 4 Vice Palace Masters in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace. 2 of them were from the Legacy Branch, and the other 2 were his 3rd senior brother, Yang Yuqin. The last one was the Vice Palace Master from the Student Branch. The positions of Vice Palace Master in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace had always been allocated in this way. The Legacy Branch occupied 2 positions. The Internal Branch occupied 1 position. The Student Branch occupied 1 position as well. Compared to the Internal Branch's low profile and the Legacy Branch's strictness, the Academy Branch was much more casual. It was also because of this that the Academy Branch's Vice Palace Master was usually the one that the students of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace saw the most. Usually, if there was a major event in the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace that required someone to preside over it, he would basically be the one to step forward. Last time, when 3 teachers from the Student Branch died under coercion, he was the one who dealt with it. Of course, it was the 3 teachers from the Academy Branch who broke the rules and made a move first, so their deaths were in vain. Duan Lingtian heard from his third senior brother, Yang Yuqin, that the vice palace master of the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace had left the Myriad Jurisprudence Palace for a period of time because of this matter. During this period of time, many of the Monorigin spirit sect strongholds outside had been uprooted by an expert, causing heavy losses. It was said that in the end, the Monorigin spirit sect had even dispatched 2 mid-level godly venerable experts, but they were unable to track down who that person was. He's also a ruthless person, Duan Lingtian thought to himself as he looked at the kind-looking old man in front of him. If one only looked at him, it would be difficult to see that this old man had such a side to him. Indeed, a dog that bites does not bark. Since everyone is here, I'll send you all into the trial grounds of the gods. The Myriad Jurisprudence Palace's Vice Palace Master, Dreamcloud Mountain, announced loudly after counting the number of people. Then, he threw out a formation plate at the right time. This formation plate looked different from an ordinary formation plate. It flashed with a 7-colored light, and as soon as it appeared, a huge light pillar emerged and enveloped the 100 people in the center of the square. As for some of the spectators who were closer to the square, they were forced to retreat by the oncoming airwaves. A large empty space appeared in the center of the square. In the next instant, everyone saw that the 100 geniuses in front of them had all disappeared under the 7-colored light pillar. From the beginning to the end, Dreamcloud Mountain did not say anything superfluous and directly sent them away. Chapter 41-46. Although the 100 people had disappeared, the array disk was still floating in mid-air, including the 7-colored light pillar. It had not disappeared yet. No one is allowed to come close for 3 years. Anyone who comes close will be killed without mercy. Myriad Law Academy's Vice Palace Master, Yun Mengshan, was sitting cross-legged at a higher point above the formation disk. He glanced around coldly and sternly, making it impossible for anyone to doubt the authenticity of his words. At this moment, the group of Myriad Law Academy students' faces turned solemn. I heard that the entrance to the trial of God is under the formation disk given by an ultimate expert. Moreover, the formation disk within the formation disk must always be there. Once the formation is broken, the people in the trial of God will be lost inside and unable to come out, unless an ultimate expert is willing to rescue them. But that's not realistic. In the history of the Myriad Arts Academy, there had only been one time when someone had tried to deliberately destroy the array disk array. That time, that person had almost succeeded. In the end, it was fortunate that the Palace Master of Myriad Law Academy acted in time to stop the other party. Of course, the person who acted was killed on the spot. Furthermore, the one who made the move was a member of the 10,000 Arts Academy, a teacher of the Academy's branch. It was obvious that the other party had been coerced into acting. Just like the 3 Myriad Law Academy teachers who acted against Duan Lingtian earlier. As for outsiders, even if they could break into Myriad Law Academy, they would be intercepted before they could reach the central square. As the name implied, the central square was located in the center of the entire Myriad Law Academy. It was precisely because of that incident that a medium ultimate god would be sent to guard the divine trial grounds after it opened. Since then, no one had caused trouble. Who am I? Where am I? After being enveloped by the 7-colored light beam, Duan Lingtian's consciousness had temporarily disappeared. It felt like only a moment had passed, but it also felt like a century had passed. He finally woke up and gradually regained his consciousness. However, at first, Duan Lingtian looked at his surroundings blankly, only feeling that the environment was extremely unfamiliar. At the same time, he did not remember who he was. Of course, after a while, plenty of time passed, and Duan Lingtian finally regained his senses. I am Duan Lingtian. I came from 10,000 Jurisprudence Palace. I came here through the teleportation array of the Trial of Gods. My current identity is Wuyo City Lord's boy toy. When Duan Lingtian recalled who he was, another memory appeared in his mind. It was a handsome young man who was also the male pet of the Wuyo City's City Lord. The only male pet. The City Lord of Wuyo City, Lu Wuyo, was a cold and arrogant woman. She was the overlord of a city, but at the same time, she was under the control of the City Lord. In the past, the son of the mansion master, a playboy, came to Wuyo City and took a fancy to Lu Wuyo. In order to reject the other party, Lu Wuyo captured the body that Duan Lingtian's soul had possessed and pushed it to the front, saying that he was her boy toy, so that the son of the mansion master would give up. After that, although the act did not become real, the original owner of Duan Lingtian's body continued to live in the city lord's mansion as the city lord's boy toy. However, he did not see the city lord Lu Wuyo again. It was as though Lu Wuyo had completely forgotten about him and never came to see him again. The city lord Lu Wuyo must have used him as a shield. As for why she still allowed him to stay in an empty house as a boy toy, it must be because she was worried that someone would see through his disguise. According to his memory, the place where he lives now is a remote courtyard in the backyard of the city lord Lu Wuyo's independent mansion in the city lord's mansion. The city lord Lu Wuyo is a lower divine emperor. Soon after, Duan Lingtian learned about the boy toy he possessed. The city lord of Wuyo City was a higher divine emperor who was in charge of a city. There were many cities around Wuyo City that belonged to a place called the Heaven's Spirit Mansion. Above the Heaven's Spirit Mansion was a divine nation. City, divine nation. Now that Duan Lingtian had obtained the memories of the boy toy he possessed, he roughly knew the geography of the place he was in. Of course, the furthest place that the original owner of the body that he was currently possessing had been to was the city next door. The rest was all from what he had heard from others. He was handsome, but his cultivation talent was average. He was barely a divine emperor and belonged to the lowest class in Wuyo City. It was because of his good looks that Lu Wuyo brought him back to the city lord's mansion and used him as a shield so that the son of the mansion master could leave in anger. The son of the mansion master was interested in Lu Wuyo because he knew Lu Wuyo had never been with a man before. After learning that Lu Wuyo had a boy toy, he stopped bothering Lu Wuyo. He doesn't know much. All I know is that he was born and raised in Wuyo City. Of course, this place was not called Wuyo City in the past. Every time a new city lord takes over, the name of the city lord will be changed. The relationship between the cities is not harmonious, and there are often conflicts. In the wild, not only do people from different cities kill each other, but even people from the same city kill each other for the rewards of the rules. In this world, anyone who kills will be rewarded by the rules to strengthen themselves. Duan Lingtian could not help but feel a little disappointed that he did not know much. However, when Duan Lingtian sensed the divine energy in his body and slightly activated the power of law, a smile appeared on his face. Due to the fact that Duan Lingtian's new body was too handsome, he looked a little devilish when he smiled. Huang Duan Lingtian sensed the presence of the seven orifices exquisite sword and greeted Huang at the same time. Huang quickly responded, Master. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian fell silent for a moment before he took a deep breath. He had a complicated expression on his face as he muttered to himself, Supreme powerhouses are really amazing. A few supreme powerhouses are able to create such a realistic, illusory realm. I don't feel like I'm in an illusion at all. Duan Lingtian had used his divine energy to form needles to pierce himself earlier. The intense pain made him realize that this did not feel like a dream, but more like reality. It was too real. It was no different from the outside world. It was precisely because of this that Duan Lingtian felt like he could not distinguish between illusion and reality. At the same time, he felt that the strength of the ultimate powerhouses was completely beyond his imagination. A few ultimate powerhouses could create such a space. Moreover, according to his third senior brother, Yang Yuchun, every time the trial of God opened, the environment and place would be different. The background would be completely different as well. Although third senior brother didn't say much about the last time he entered the divine trial grounds, he still told me about the environment of the divine trial grounds. In the environment he was in, there were no cities, no prefectures, and even more so, no divine nations. There were only sects in the trial of God. It was a world of competition between sects. The place I'm in now should be the Divine Kingdom world. However, I'll have to ask someone about the specific situation. In Wuyo City, the strongest person is the city master, Lu Wuyo. He's also the only lower divine emperor in Wuyo City. When he thought of this, Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. Then, he made his way out of the backyard. The courtyard he was in was just a secluded corner of the backyard. However, as soon as Duan Lingtian stepped out of the courtyard, he was stopped by someone. It was an old lady with an ordinary appearance. However, her eyes shone with a terrifying light. "You Wenfeng, the city master has ordered that without her permission, you're not allowed to leave this courtyard. Did you turn a deaf ear to the city master's words?" Duan Lingtian glanced at the old lady indifferently. Based on the owner of this body, it was not difficult for him to recall that this old lady was sent by the city master of Wuyo City to keep an eye on him, a lower divine emperor. As for why she was keeping an eye on him and not allowing him to leave, it was because she was worried that the city master's son would find out about it. Get lost. The current Yu Wenfeng was no longer the Yu Wenfeng of the past. His body had been completely taken over by Duan Lingtian's soul. Even Duan Lingtian's strength, techniques, divine weapons, and spatial rings had all been taken over. All of this was one of the reasons why Duan Lingtian was shocked by the strength of an ultimate expert. "HM?" The old lady's expression changed drastically. Did Yu Wenfeng just ask her to get lost? At this moment, she even wondered if she had misheard him. This Yu Wenfeng, a puny little god, the little brat who used to bow and nod respectfully to her, actually dared to speak to her in such a manner? Was he seeking death? Or did he think the city master would not let him die? "Yu Wenfeng, without the city master's order, I don't dare to kill you. However, I'm confident that I can severely injure you and make you bedridden for a few years," the old lady said coldly. At the same time, her divine energy surged as though she was really going to make a move. Noisy. This time, Duan Lingtian did not waste his breath on the old lady. With a sway of his body, he charged toward the old lady without making a move. At the same time, his divine energy surged and a spatial storm swept out. Bang! With a loud bang, the old lady was sent flying. She spat out mouthfuls of blood while she was in the air. There was only horror in her eyes. It should be known that she had already mobilized the divine energy in her body and was ready to attack. Even a higher divine king would not be able to send her flying, let alone a mere divine being. However, Yu Wenfeng's attack made her feel as though a ferocious beast was charging toward her. Moreover, the energy that swept into her body made her feel helpless and hopeless. This is a god emperor expert? No, he seems to be a higher divine emperor. Isn't Yu Wenfeng just a divine being? How did he suddenly become a higher divine emperor? At this moment, the old lady suddenly felt as though her brain was not enough to process all of this. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.